Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority regular meeting agenda. Today's date is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022, and it's 5:30 p.m. We'll take roll call. Mayor Javier Moreno here, Mayor Pro Tem Ureña. Here. Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Gloria Romo.
Here.
And Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Closed session. There's a closed session. It's called to order. Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to AB 361, approved by Governor of California on September 16, 2021. And some or all the city council members may participate in this meeting by teleconference. Pursuant to Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines, city council meetings are now open for public attendance at 100% capacity of the council chambers. Public participation will continue to be available in the following ways. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream at http://communityspectrum.org live at 6:30 p.m. or via the Calexico City Hall Facebook page at www.facebook.com/City of Calexico CA. Members of the public will also be able to make public comments in the following ways. In-person comments. Submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, December 21st, 2022 to our city clerk at email cityclerk@calexico.ca.gov or via fax number 760-768-2103. You may also make public comments via Zoom from a PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or Android device. If you're going to do that, the webinar ID number, phone number is 1-669-90-6833. The webinar ID number is 872-4924-3201. And the passcode is 4246445. Public comments, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address City Council on closed session items only. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please say your name and place of residence for a record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
No? Thank you. All right, it is 5:34. We will adjourn to closed session. Come to order. Welcome to the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority. It's open session. It is 6:35. I call to order, and I'll take roll call. Mayor Javier Moreno here. Mayor Pro Tem Ureña.
Here.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Gloria Romo.
Here.
And Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Mr. Manzanares, can you help us with the mission statement?
Mission statement. Together, we
Pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Please remain standing. I will do the invocation. Dear God, we ask for your blessings tonight who have been called to lead our community. Help us as leaders how to fix things, what we need to learn, how we might need to change, and whom do we need to listen to. Remind us that no matter who we are, we treat everyone with respect, our children, elderly, the poor, the hungry, and the homeless. May we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and by the spirit of love. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. Thank you. Please have a seat. Our next item is closed session announcement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. City Council been in closed session on the items 1, 2, and 3 as described on the agenda. We received direction, but no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. And our next item is approval of the agenda. Need a motion to approve? So moved. So moved by Mr. Garcia, second by Mrs. Romo. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Announcements. This proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website site at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community Office Hours Mayor Javier Moreno will be held by appointment. Please contact the City Clerk's Office at 760-768-2110 to schedule an appointment. Our next item is public comments and public appearances. Not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you and we come to the microphone. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meetings with personal or slanderous remarks. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. I have our first speaker is Mr. Javier Gonzalez.
Honorable Council, members of the public, staff. First of all, congratulations to our newest member, Mr. Manzanares. Congratulations, looking forward to work with you. I'm here representing IID. I'm your IID representative for Division 4, and I'll be making these comments in Spanish. I know a lot of people are watching Spanish. Nomás quiero dar un reporte de lo que ha pasado estos últimos meses en Calexico. Si se han fijado, todas las luces desde Andrade hasta Heffernan ya son LED. Alrededor de los parques están poniendo LED y hemos dicho a IID que ponga LEDs alrededor de public housing. A fines de febrero, a comienzos de marzo, van a poner muchas más, que sería desde Heffernan hasta Adler. Eso es lo que nos comprometimos. Todo Kennedy Gardens también ya está LED. También queremos hoy mencionar que el hijo de Robert F. Kennedy ha quedado de acuerdo que va a pagar por todas las luces para los parques de Kennedy Gardens. El contrato, los documentos ya están en la oficina de la City Manager, nomás que les den permiso y van a entrar a arreglar todas esas luces gratis para la ciudad de Calexico. También pudimos agarrar a Advanced Lighting, que es el contratista de IID, que pusiera luces gratis en el Border Park, a petición de la concejal Gloria Romo, que he estado trabajando con ella mucho en esto. Se pusieron LED, ahí vamos, fue un compromiso que hicimos. Aparte de eso, estamos a la seguridad del canal, ya se taparon todos los hoyos, la ciudad se comprometió otra vez a tapar todos esos hoyos. Hace 3 semanas tuvimos un evento, pusieron buoys para los migrantes que se ahoguen. En enero van a volver a hacerlo, viene Reclamation, viene Border Patrol, viene el Cónsul, van a poner muchos más para la seguridad. Van a hacer una campaña a nivel nacional de México para el peligro del canal americano. Estamos aquí para trabajar y nos da mucho gusto de mucha gente que nos ha dicho, incluyendo aquí City Clerk, que ya se le pusieron luces en partes que no había luces. Hay muchas áreas donde quedaron que no hay luces, quedó abandonado, se están empezando a poner luces. Fue algo que nos comprometimos porque la seguridad de nuestra comunidad es la prioridad y eso fue algo que nos comprometimos y aquí estamos para servirles. Ayer el IID nombró al nuevo presidente, el señor Alex Cárdenas es el nuevo presidente, el joven James Brooks Hamby es el vicepresidente y también pusieron como liaison, se van a empezar a juntar con las ciudades del IID y yo me hice abstain y la señorita Karina Eugenio, que también representa Calexico, es la liaison de Calexico. Cualquier cosita o algo y van a tener juntas trimestrales con la ciudad para trabajar en conjunto, eso es lo que nos comprometimos y es todo mi reporte. Gracias. ¿Tienen alguna pregunta?
Gracias.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Our next speaker is Carmen Estrada.
Buenas noches.
Buenas
Te
noches.
felicito, Javier, por tu trabajo y yo me enorgullezco del IID porque es una, no sé, me emociona lo que él dice porque ellos cumplen al 100, porque aquí trajeron un proyecto aquí en Andrade de casi ciento y tantos mil dólares que donaron en conjunto con la Unión de Electricistas y la ciudad, y eso es para mí enorgullecer a la IID. También quiero comentarles, Javier, en el parque, que no es parque, Gutiérrez, hay 8 luces que no sirven, las luces están deterioradas, jugamos en lo oscuro, entonces por favor, si nos puedes ayudar, te lo vamos a agradecer. Es algo desesperante ya. También quiero felicitar de veras a béisbol, que tiene 7 parques impresionantes. 7 parques. Es algo sensacional. Me enorgullece también de que tenga 7 parques en óptimas condiciones. Pero también quiero decirles, por favor, soccer, fútbol americano, básquetbol, tenis, no hay ni un solo parque. Y ojalá ya se pongan a trabajar en eso y suelten los fondos para la comunidad y la seguridad. Ya no hay que pensar nada, por favor, háganlo, pero ya. Gracias.
Gracias. Our next speaker is Antonio Garcia.
Hello, my name is Antonio Garcia. I live at 1101 Amada Court, su casa cuando gusten. I'm just here basically to give you an update on the previous tournament and the new tournament of soccer, the binational. Binational tournament we had previously was called binational, the pre-binational, as we had to reduce it in the amount of participants because of technicalities, basically lack of fields. But before I can go into that, first I got to congratulate the council member, the brand new council member. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor Return, congratulations. This last tournament that we held in November, there was a lot of work and a lot of lessons learned. But we came together and we got it done. And I want to thank the city council for their involvement, city of Calexico, the Mexican council who was was there for us at all times. He helped us out, and the Calexico School District helped us out with us tremendously. But this coming March 4th and 5th, we're going to have a bigger tournament. We reduced to 14 teams. This one's going to have probably 100 or more. So, along with the same effort we put, or even more, we should be able to have it, especially if the park is finished over there at Cordova Park. If it's done, we should have it covered. I want to invite the city council to continue involvement and showing up at the inauguration and the closing ceremonies. Thank you so much for that. Mexican council was also there. We're gonna invite some city state personnel to go up with us too, so they can see how much we're bonding, we're working, and to participate in the whole ceremony, the closing ceremony, and that way they can see what can be done when we all work together. At this present time, we anticipate there'll be no cost for registration of teams. At this particular time, everything was covered. We were able to come out even on this last tournament. And remember, I represent the Calexico Parents Athletic Association. We are nonprofit. Everything we got, we put back in there, and sometimes even out of our own pocket. And I just want to let you know, March 4th and 5th, 2023, the big tournament. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Our next speaker is Marco Madrigal.
¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes a todos.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es Marco Madrigal, soy ingeniero, desarrollador y actualmente el dueño de Marco Parking en calle Sexta y Emerson. Estoy aquí porque pido de su ayuda. Tengo actualmente mi proyecto en pausa y sin la certeza de poder terminarlo. Antes de seguir invirtiendo más dinero y tiempo, necesito garantías para poder terminarlo y poder abrirlo lo antes posible. Como antecedente les cuento, Marco Parking ya tenía 20 años operando aquí en Calexico en 500 César Chávez Boulevard. En 2016, la ciudad de Calexico inicia su proyecto de la ampliación del Boulevard César Chávez. A nosotros por este proyecto se nos reduce gran cantidad del terreno, aproximadamente 40 carros fue lo que perdimos en capacidad, por lo que nosotros empezamos a buscar un nuevo lugar para reubicarnos. A finales del 2018 inició nuestro proyecto de reubicación, donde se nos llegó a pedir más de $700,000 en mejoras para poder utilizar ese nuevo lugar. A mediados del 2019 se colocaron muros de concreto al culminar ese proyecto. Dado ese evento, era imposible nosotros seguir utilizando ese lugar porque nosotros usamos ese espacio también como transporte. Nosotros utilizamos trailers largas junto con troques. Hacer esa maniobra ya se volvía algo peligroso, potencialmente dado el flujo y la velocidad con la que se manejaba ya en ese lugar, al ser una vialidad principal hacia Mexicali y Calexico. A finales de ese año, el 2019, después de todo un año de negociaciones y propuestas de nuestra parte, llegamos a un acuerdo con la administración de ese entonces. Podríamos obtener el abandono de una porción de la calle adyacente de los terrenos nuevos adquiridos de nuestra parte, siempre y cuando realizáramos unas mejoras hacia la ciudad primero. Mismo acuerdo quedó plasmado en planos aprobados y firmados por el Departamento de Ingeniería, junto con un depósito del proyecto donde se me afirmó que ya de ahí no pasaría. Las mejoras que se me pidieron como requisito fueron hechas en mayo del 2021, un año 4 meses después, en lo que involucraba una pavimentación de la calle, poner una banqueta, mejorar el sistema de agua de la ciudad y un hidrante. Todo esto, el total de la inversión de todas estas mejoras de las que le hablo, fueron de más de $90,000 que con mucho trabajo logramos reunir. Pero el problema viene después. Una vez que yo realizo las mejoras y al quererle dar seguimiento a mi proyecto, me encuentro que con la administración de Miguel Figueroa y posteriores desestimaron mis avances y todo lo que yo ya había tenido de documentación hasta el momento. Habrá habido fallas administrativas, pues no se encontraba nada de documentación al inicio cuando yo quise darle este seguimiento posterior.
Señor Marco, le quedan 15 segundos.
¿Perdón?
Le quedan 15 segundos.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Tengo más de un año de haber hecho todo esto, de la cual no he podido tener algún tipo de permiso para poder abrir. No tengo agua, no tengo servicio de luz, y lo que les pido prácticamente es que me ayuden a poderle dar seguimiento y más que nada certeza para poder abrir mi negocio nuevo.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
¿Cuál es su nombre, dijo?
Marco Madrigal.
Gracias.
Our next speaker is Jim Kim. Kim.
Hi, honorable council members, especially new council members, and congratulations. And congratulations of the citizens, because we are a lot of citizens today involving for the, whatever they have a voice against it or for it. I'm glad to see the more involvement of the citizens. So you citizens not involvement, council member, they can do whatever they want, just like what they're trying to do today. But before I talking about issues, I would like to talk about the traffic control in Calexico. I just started coming out from my stores, and I have to go the whole way to go to the mall and make the line. There were only one line. So suddenly, they become a 2 line. And just right from the border, about 100 feet away, and they just put the 1 line. So how we gonna, it was chaos. Several cars will cross the line and make the 3 lines. And there was no control over it. And also, I've been seeing a lot of times, the car going into Mexico, the border, and like there is full of the car, they're still pushing the another car to let them go, to stopping, same time stopping other traffic. They should be, when they have a pull in after the signal, they should stop the car and then to another side of the traffic to let them go. But it's not. They just pushing in to same direction, other cars is stopping. They just causing more chaos of the traffic. So I believe that they need some training. I understand they are working very hard condition, hot and cold, but they need some more training in case of this, in case of that. they can be self-functioning. And that's based of the, based of the United States, the border. And we are city of the space of the United States. Our trade control works in Mexico. Please, to pay attention on those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Our next speaker is Jasmine Horton.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a student at SDSU IB. And I'm also the Associated Students President this year, of which I am here representing. So Associated Students is planning a 5K color run here in the city of Calexico. This color run is to benefit Associated Students and then benefiting students in the long run. All of Associated Students' money and accounts funnel back directly towards students. Some of the ways that we do that is through a spring banquet where we recognize students' accomplishments in their academic endeavors and also community service. Through Campus Life, where AS plans campus events for students. We also fund scholarships and travel funds for students to go on excursions related to their education. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So the reason that me being here is we've been working with Ms. Esperanza closely on this, as well as with our administration at SDSU IV, and we really would like the City of Calexico's support on this by approving a route for the 5K. Our proposed route will go, start at our campus, go down 7th all the way to Blair, which is like right there, down to Birch, take a right to Rodney over by Kiki, right? Camarena School. And then back down 7th Avenue, which equals a 5K. It's about 3.3 miles, which is a little bit more than a 5K, but I think runners won't mind. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We do have like a sponsorship packet. I just brought this one. So if you'd like to see it, I do have it in case you'd like it. And it just goes over the purpose of this 5K a little bit more in detail. And then we are also looking for monetary sponsorship from any other organizations that might be interested in supporting this cause. And yeah, that's it for me, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Supervisor Escobar.
Mayor, City Council, Gilberto, felicidades. Esperanza, Carlos, long time no see. Canicho ya se va. Carlos, long time no see, and Gaby. I'm speaking out of turn and I apologize for this because I know there will be a public hearing, but I've got another meeting that I need to attend. Concerning the public hearing that you're about to see in the next hour or two, the subject at hand is obviously something near and dear to my heart and to our heart because it involves transportation, which is something that we should be pursuing 100%. I'm glad we're taking this issue at hand and taking the bull by the horns. Having said that, we also need to be fair to the owners of the real estate that we are potentially assessing this eminent domain with. And again, I apologize for being out of turn, but I can't stay for the public hearing. I was intimately involved with that development. And if we do math, if it's a 10,000 square foot facility at $100 a square foot, do quick math, that's $1 million. The offer on the table is a quarter of that. And that doesn't include the land. So while I fully support what the city is trying to do, and that transportation hub is desperately needed, we've talked about this for years, we need to be very fair to the owner of the real estate. An owner that is a small business owner in downtown Calexico and has worked, with all due respect, his butt off for the past 50 years for the city of Calexico. So again, be fair for the city and the citizens of Calexico and for the owner of the real estate and that developer that, again, has worked his butt off for Calexico. And again, be fair with that offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Escobar. We have a speaker online on Zoom, Mr. Sergio Ojeda.
Okay, concerning the previous proposals for public art, utility boxes, and the 3 murals mentioned, I would like to offer a couple of suggestions. First, in order for folks across the border to participate, money should be attributed fully to materials. This way, we avoid issues with liability insurance, and they get to keep leftover materials and whatever money wasn't used. This also counts for whoever cannot fill out a W-9 form, people who do not have a social security number. In order to have as many participants from this side of the border, I would suggest more time spent on social media and online disbursement of information. I noticed that the project for the city mural there was a sponsored ad on Facebook. I think more stuff like that should be added for future public arts programs. And I would also like to see if there's any help needed along the process. I volunteer my time to brainstorm as long as it doesn't interfere with the chance of me participating in the painting process. Lastly, I would like to ask the city for donations in order to complete my history of anime mural. The people of Calexico donated $300 to me, but I have already spent the money on those paints, and I have already used those paints. I am now paying this out of pocket again, and I would like to know if there's any way for me to get some sponsors or donations to buy more paints. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ojeda. Okay, that'll do the public comments in general. We do have 2 public comments by Mr. Kim, but item number 11 and 12 will get to you when we get to the item, okay? Thank you. 11 and 12? Okay. Thank you. Next item is City Manager's Report.
Good evening. I have 4 items to report. I want to first thank the police department and the fire department for having this event. Annual event is the 19th annual event for Kids and Budgets. This is an event that involves bringing kids to have breakfast with them, taking to meet Santa Claus, and then going to Walmart to buy toys for those kids. Mrs. Armendariz was also bringing the kids to the event. We are very grateful to have her working with the police department and the fire department. In addition to that, I'm happy to report that we submitted a letter of response to the state auditors with a plan and a schedule to address the city's financial findings. I want to thank Ms. Fonseca, Ms. Mayor, for assisting me with preparing the documentation to be sent to the state. Out of the 16 items, we have completed once, and we're about to complete the second one as well. So it's a working plan, and we should be able to accomplish all the plan and according to the response. We also submitted an update report to the Housing and Community Development regarding the pending monitoring issues with the CDBG home and Calhoun programs. This is just an update, not a complete monitoring process. And we are requesting that based on the information submitted, that they will allow us to continue using some of the grant funds so that we can bring programs to the city that are much needed. We also submitted to the Department of Water Board the new river improvements project. We received one bid for $40,690,000. This is only one bid that was received, and we submitted to the state the final gap funding in the amount of $18,530,000. And I will continue providing reports about where we are so far in terms of finances. So hopefully we can get there soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coley. Next item is commissioner reports. We don't have any. Our next item is city council comments and reports from meetings attended. Mr. Vice Chair.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Is there anybody that needs English? English only? ¿Español está bien? Nomás quería comentar unas 3 cositas. La primera es algo de las juntas, de cómo estamos con las juntas ahorita. Yo sé que de un tiempo para acá hemos estado pidiendo el refuerzo de los policías para mantener la seguridad de las juntas del Cabildo. Yo he sido uno de los miembros que lamentablemente por cosas odiosas me han amenazado con muerte varias veces en mi término de 2-3 años. Pero sinceramente 4 policías es mucho, tenemos muy pocos y yo me sentiría muy seguro con solamente un policía es suficiente, a pesar de las muy graves y muy creíbles amenazas de muerte que me hacen por cuestiones odiosas. En sí, I am behind on my communication with the citizens. Estoy un poquito atrasado con los comunicados que hago a los ciudadanos. The topics that I'm behind on is an update on the finances and what's going to happen next quarter, what are the priorities, what are the challenges. Estoy atrasado con los comunicados. Los temas de esos comunicados vienen siendo primero que nada las finanzas. Hablar de este cuatrimestre, el próximo cuatrimestre, cuáles son los ingresos, los retos, qué posiblemente se puede hacer con ese dinero. Y obviamente en presencia aquí de las comerciantes falta la actualización muy sensible de día a día que está pasando con la calle Rockwood y cómo vamos a proceder con con todo lo que habíamos platicado. I also have to make a communication on the downtown projects, not just the current one in Rockwood, but the future ones that we're going to have as well. Una de las cosas que sí me agrada mucho de esta agenda es que antes perdíamos muchos fondos que se nos otorgaban, que ganábamos en veces, simplemente por cuestiones administrativas. El de la Rockwood era uno que se iba a perder, pero también tenemos la pavimentación de los callejones en el downtown, que íbamos a perder por ahí de $1.6 millones, si no estoy incorrecto. Los íbamos a perder, pero gracias a Dios nuestra gran administradora pudo rescatar el programa y ahorita lo tenemos para aprobación en esta agenda de aquí. I'm very happy that we're finally making complete use of all the grant funds that we are receiving. Previously, because of administrative questions and a lot of things, a lot of grants would go by the wayside without us actually using the grants. I'm very happy to report that under Ms. Esperanza's leadership, we've been able to save a lot of grants, including the Bloomberg one, the Rockwood one, and now on this agenda, $1.6 million in alleyway repavement that was in danger of being lost. So I'm very grateful, and I hope to keep moving forward. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia?
Thank you. I'll get to the point that I want to make sure that we all know, besides attending all the events that are taking place, whether it's due to the holidays, council reorgs, which have been really great, Cedarville Central, Brawley, you name it, they have had, a really good transition of leadership. But what I want to make sure that I don't forget, because I think it's really sad, it was something that happened a couple of weeks ago. One of our firefighters, one of our captains retired, Mr. Lalo Rivera, and I know his dad is here. But I think it's really sad when someone that has given so much time to the city, to this city, into this community goes kind of like into the sunset. I know that their colleagues really did, acknowledge his retirement, but I think us as community, as council, should take a little more time to acknowledge, to thank him, because it's something that it's not just an event, but it's an obligation. They go day in, day out doing their jobs, and not just firefighters, but everybody. I think all the public servants here in City Hall and the community should be acknowledged. And I think it was really an oversight. So I would like to, hopefully, I know he's gone, even from our community, but if we can bring something back and at least give him a recognition, a mention, that's the least that we can do for someone like him. But then also moving forward, I would like to bring back something that was been done in the past, where we recognize our staff, whether it's every quarter, when we have retirements, when we have any special events. I think that does a lot to morale, to the work environment, to the community. So, and if there's no fund or funds to do that, whether it's to get a plaque, a certificate, a little talking of appreciation, I volunteer myself to pay for that. So please, Esperanza, if you can just put that in the agenda, work with HR, and get something going. And if you can do it as soon as possible, I would really appreciate it. So thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Romo?
Thank you. Voy a hablar inglés, español, completando para no perder mucho tiempo. Esperemos, señora Colio, que tengamos ya la traducción. ¿Para cuándo más o menos la vamos a tener?
There is a huge cost involved for us to bring this translation services, but we can look into it in the upcoming quarter to see how it goes. Right now, we do not have the funding to pay for a service like that. As a reminder, the audit mentioned that we had to make an effort to make the information available during the budget process. But for the regular meetings, we do not have the funding right now, but we'll look into it when we get the new quarter report.
And ARPA find this is good, no?
We can check on that one as well, but that's a one-time funding available. It's not like a recurrent funding for this type of services, but we'll find out. We'll check. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Colio. Okay, last week I invited my Parks Commissioner, Ms. Carmen Estrada, to take a tour of all parks in Calexico and retention bases too. We also visited Mr. Falomir for Public Works. Los parques lamentablemente no están como la ciudadanía desea que se encuentre. Lamentablemente es por motivo de que no tenemos los suficientes trabajadores, mas sin embargo se ha pedido un schedule para saber cuáles son los parques que van a ser trabajados durante el año del 2023, con el fin de que la ciudadanía sepa cuándo van a estar trabajando uno de los parques. Esto me lo ha pedido mucho la comunidad, y la señora Falomir, nuestra próxima junta, nos dará una explicación y los motivos por el cual los parques se encuentran de esa manera. Attending the 19th annual event which made the Calexico Police Department Christmas, and thank you very, very much for this beautiful event. You made many children very happy. Blessing. Es precioso evento. Tuve la fortuna de asistir con la señora Colio y bueno, cientos de niños recibieron regalos. El señor Legaspi cantó y cantaron todos los niños, y estuvo ahí el departamento, no solamente del departamento de policía, también estuvo el departamento de bomberos, y los niños fueron verdaderamente muy felices. Thank you y bendiciones por eso. Esto es anual y esperemos que en el 20 estemos todos porque vale la pena disfrutar esto. And yesterday, I attended the Mexico Consulate in Calexico. A ceremony was held to award the Otley to Assemblyman Eduardo García for his work in Imperial County. Eduardo García es reconocido como un México americano. Sus padres entraron aquí a los Estados Unidos a trabajar el campo. Ellos se educaron y actualmente Eduardo vive en Coachella, mas sin embargo, la verdad son de los pocos asambleístas que me ha tocado a mí conocer, que están bastante tiempo en el condado de Imperial y nos han traído bastante trabajo. Creo que fue una award que se dio, que estuve muy feliz de haber estado ahí. Vinieron representantes del gobernador de California como también del gobierno de Baja California. Today, in the morning, on behalf of this Cabildo, he attended the annual event of delivery of grief that were given to children and adults. This event has been carried out for 35 years by Miss Brenda Estrada and family. Caray, había como 200, 300 personas en Las Palmas y se les entregó por medio de no sé cómo le llaman ese disco donde sale un regalito. Había de todo, regalos chicos, medianos, grandes, y la gente le daba vuelta ¿cómo se llama esa que están en las ferias? La ruleta. Y salía y los niños felices, ¿no? Hubo muchos niños que se ganaron karaokes y la gente estaba verdaderamente emocionada, hubo música, cantos y wow, mis respetos. La verdad yo no había asistido, les recomiendo que asistan, estuvieron muy contentos, tuvo la representación de Calexico y yo agradezco, en paz descanse, al señor Estrada, que tuve el placer de conocer, que él inició este tipo de eventos y la verdad son muy bonitos, los felicito mucho a la señora Brenda, a sus hijos y a toda su familia. Finally, I visited the Casa de la Alegría, where I found more than 7 people in this day. En este momento la señora Blanca Verdugo, que es la que lleva el control de esta casa, pues la verdad está pasando por dificultades, tiene 20 años trabajando este tipo de casas. Los invito a que pasen, conozcan, si conocen a alguna persona mayor que desea ir a actividades, les dan desayuno, les dan cena, se los recomiendo porque si no, este programa tan bello va a terminar. Hay algo muy importante, había aproximadamente 70 personas mayores, pero generalmente tienen un promedio de 150. Y hay algo que lo tengo que decir porque me duele en el alma. Me comentaba la señora Blanca que ahora en la pandemia, las personas mayores que murieron, les bajó el 25%. O sea, si había 150 personas que regularmente estaban yendo, ¿verdad?, actividades, tienen psicólogos, tienen enfermeras, bajó el 25%, imagínense la cantidad, porque murieron. Pero aquí viene lo triste, no murieron de COVID, solo 8 murieron de COVID, los demás, ¿saben cómo murieron? Abandonados, tristes, porque ya no sabían qué hacer. Que en paz descanse. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Rom. Mr. Gonzalez.
Buenas noches. Estoy de acuerdo con algo que comentó concejal Camilo García, que tenemos que enseñar apreciaciones a los trabajadores. En esa nota le quiero recordar a este concilio que se votó hace 9 meses para darle cheques a los trabajadores esenciales. Y se ha comentado desde que se aprobó en marzo del 2022, como 3 veces yo creo en 9 meses. Me siento un poco decepcionado de que no se han podido mover las cosas, pero sé que llegó la de la auditoría, llegó un mal tiempo, pero señorita Colio ya pasó la de la auditoría y le agradezco muchísimo el trabajo que hizo, pero a esta gente le prometimos cheques de trabajadores esenciales. Este dinero se nos dio a la ciudad por los niveles de infecciones, las muertes que tuvimos, y estos cheques van directo a los trabajadores esenciales que, como los policías y bomberos, ya les dieron dinero a la ciudad. Pero aquellos que estaban en la Walmart, a los que cobraban, a los que no les dieron la opción de trabajar de casa, a esas personas son para que se les tiene que dar este dinero. Y ya tenemos ese dinero, es $1 millón. Y mi miedo es que, como salgan proyectos que obviamente son necesitados también, se vaya yendo poco a poco. Y entonces ese dinero ya no lo vamos a tener. Y ese dinero se lo prometimos a esta gente. Así que, si se ocupa ayuda trabajando en las guidelines y en el proceso, déjeme saber, estoy dispuesto a trabajar con usted para avanzar ese proyecto, porque este dinero ya está, 9 meses está dado para esta gente.
Yo también.
Thank you, Mr. Manzanares. I also attended this past Tuesday, Assemblymember Garcia's recognition at a Mexican consulate here in Calexico, where Mexican consul, Mr. Navarrete, gave them the award. I represented the city there. Ms. Esperanza Colio was also there, as well as Ms. Gloria Romo. We congratulate Mr. Assemblymember Garcia for his efforts in the community, that advocacy for community and marginalized populations like field workers. Everything's done for us in Calexico, so we were there to represent the city and congratulate him on his award. Well-deserved award. Also attended the Calexico Unified School District swearing-in ceremony, where Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Contreras, and Mr. Lecho Calderon got sworn in as new, some elected new directors there. Also attended the, we did that already. Fui al evento que tuvo el cónsul aquí de Calexico este último pasado martes, donde se le dio un reconocimiento al asambleísta García. Como sabemos, el García siempre ha sido una persona que apoya a Calexico, esta comunidad, toda la región de Valle Imperial, y no se diga pues los esfuerzos que ha hecho en los últimos años. Se le dio un agradecimiento ahí en el cónsul y estuvimos ahí para apoyarle y darles las felicitaciones de parte de la ciudad de Calexico. Nuestra señora manejadora aquí, Esperanza, también estuvo ahí, y también la concejal Gloria Romo. También fui al juramento que tomó el distrito escolar aquí de Calexico, donde el señor Pacheco, el señor Contreras y el señor Lecho Calderón tomaron juramento ahí en presentación de Calexico. Eso es lo que tengo. Gracias.
Y felicidades a Marta Cárdenas, que tomó posesión como mayor de la ciudad del centro. Y Alex Cárdenas, su hermano, como presidente de la IID, ya lo dijo el director.
Gracias.
También felicidades, perdón.
Gracias. Our next item is consent agenda. All matters listed on their consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City of Calexico, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, or Calexico Financing Authority, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by City Council.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ureña to approve, second by Mr. Camilo Garcia. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried by vote. Thank you. We have no items pulled from the consent calendar for discussion. Our next item is discussion and potential action items. Adoption of the job description and pay range for the position of building inspector. And then we have, I believe, a presentation by Human Resources. Seven. Yeah.
The HR department is not present today, but this is just a description of a job position for inspector number 1 position. We are trying to recruit personnel to assist us with the inspection portion, and we have the need to recruit, but before we do the recruitment, we have to identify what activities this individual will do. There's no fiscal impact. We have the description with you. What happens sometimes is some of the descriptions were not in place, and we're just trying to place the positions to the city council so that you understand that it's a protocol to follow. But we're just going to go on.
All right, thank you. Discussion? No?
No.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 8, LA Improvement Project, Phase 1. We have three items in that item. The one is award the bid proposal from Pyramid Construction and Aggregates Incorporated in the amount of $820,565. Number two, authorize city manager to sign construction agreement between the City of Calexico and Pyramid Construction and Aggregates Incorporated in the amount of $820,565 for the alley improvement project Phase 1. Number three, authorize city manager to sign up 10% contingency, which is $82,056.50 for administrative expenses. And we have Public Works Manager, Lina Palomino.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members and those present. The Imperial County Air Pollution Control District obtained a $3.3 million grant from the Environmental Protection Agency to assist the city of Calexico in paving approximately 3.46 miles of unpaved alleys in Calexico. Back on December, on October 5th, council authorized us to go out to bid. On November 1st, we received two bids to pave 13 alleys. The first bid was from Pyramid Construction and Aggregate for $820,565, and the second bid was from Vance Corporation with $1,586,000. So we come here before City Council to award the bid to our lowest responsible bidder, which is Pyramid Construction.
Okay, yes?
Just want to add that the entire project involves somewhere in the 30 to 40 streets, alleys,
Yeah.
and this is only the first phase. The two other phases are going to come later on, so just be aware.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks.
I have motion to approve.
Motion to
If
approve by
I
Ms.
can
Romo.
just make a comment.
You may
If
come.
you can just name those streets, I know that's something that in the past, you know, the public has been interested in finding out. I know this is on the agenda and backup, but I don't think a lot of people, you know, check on the backup. So if you can just name them at least on the first phase.
Okay. One alley is on Harold Street, Sherman Street, 8th Street, Rockwood Avenue between Heffernan, Rockwood Avenue between Heffernan, Heber Avenue and Mary Avenue and Blair, Giles and Encinas, Duels and Beach, another alley in Duel and Beach, and Heber Avenue and Blair. And what I can do is make a copy and put it on our city website for information.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Is the list online?
It's online on the agenda item, but I could work with our city clerk to put it on the public announcements.
Thank you.
So we just keep in mind, this project is being done to surface all the alleys to mitigate some of the ambient dust in terms of health for our city.
Correct. We want to reduce PM10 and PM 2.5.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Romo to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 9, authorize city manager to sign agreement of professional services between Dynamic Consulting Engineers Incorporated and the City of Calexico in the amount of $192,574.84 for construction management, geotechnical, and inspection services for alley improvement project, Phase 1, 2, and 3. Salome?
Yes, as part of the construction project, we will need somebody to assist us with the construction management, inspections, and geotech services. So we went ahead and did a formal request for proposal. We received 3 proposals, one from Nicholas Engineering, from Dynamic Consulting Engineering, and the Halt Group. I evaluated the proposals, and I was recommending that we award the contract to Dynamic Consulting Engineers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Romo to approve, second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you. Next item is item number 10, for the city council to accept $40,000 from the Imperial County Law Enforcement Coordination Center, high-intensity drug trafficking areas and services and equipment, and adopt budget amendment resolution from Fund 255 American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $5,952.06 as matching funds to start a narcotic detection program. Chief, go ahead.
Yeah,
Floor
good
is yours.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. This agenda item was on last city council meeting that was tabled regarding our K-9 program or narcotic program that we want LSCC the Law Enforcement Coordination Center has approved us $40,000 for equipment and the purchase of the dog and training for the officer to have a narcotic detection canine. And this is just the beginning of our narcotic detection program that we're going to be able to use countywide with other law enforcement agencies to reduce the number of drugs out there and also the fentanyl that's up and coming throughout the beginning of this year. So in the additional $5,000 is to make up for the $45,000 program that we're going to start as a first phase for our future narcotic program that we're trying to develop with the other law enforcement agencies in conjunction with behavioral health and any of the other agencies available there to provide services to the people who get arrested for being under the influence or possession. Yes, right now we only have the amount that was given to us was only to purchase one dog, equip one vehicle with all the equipment needed. Also for the training and per diem for the officer to go to training, whether it be in Riverside or in El Paso through the Border Patrol Training Center. And that's going to be our $40,000 right now. Eventually, we would like for this program to grow, but we're taking baby steps in order for us to make a successful program.
So Chief, aside from the enforcement aspect of the program, does it also allow the officer in K-9 to go to the public schools and present that as a public relations aspect?
Yes, so the canine or the dog is going to be a drug detection dog. So he's not going to be aggressive. He's not going to be violent. People are going to be able to pet the dog and be able to take pictures with the dog. So then it's also a PR, a public relation aspect for our narcotic program that they're going to have presentations in schools where drugs are going to be hidden in certain locations at an assembly. The dog's going to end up finding them and basically what the process is of detecting and seizing any drugs or contraband in the schools.
Okay, anybody else?
So is the dog going to be targeting schools to look for contraband in there?
No, the dog is a narcotic detection dog, so we're going to be using as a tool just on patrol. The school district has their own contract for drug detection services. So they contract with a company out of San Diego or Riverside, that they come down and provide those services. As a law enforcement, it's a very, very delicate position for us to be in because the school has the right to search students because they don't have any prosecutorial process. If we do it, we need to have probable cause, or it has to be within the law. So therefore, we're not going to be doing it at the schools. We'll provide a presentation or an assembly, but we're not going to actually do any enforcement at the schools.
Also, I'm sorry.
Sorry, what exactly is the scope of this planned narcotic program?
Well, the scope is it's going to be used as a tool in patrol for us to be able to detect any drugs, whether it be heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines, fentanyl, in order for us to be able to give us probable cause to conduct a search on it, whether it be on a vehicle or whether it be at a residence after we have lawful entry into a residence. And it's not going to be, it should not be used for people, but in the case that it's in a open area, we could be able to use that dog to detect and find those narcotics out in the open area.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Or probably direction. We've been using, this is not the first item, I think we've also used ARPA funds in this particular quarter for other things because we pretty much emptied out our bank accounts with the fire station. Our bank accounts are at zero. Would it be direction? How do we guarantee that mid-January those funds are put back to those ARPA allocations? Because that's what the community is asking
I think it all depends on the results of the next quarter.
Of course, I mean, if the money is there.
But what we can do is also to explore the third quarter as well. I don't want to make false promises that the next quarter is going to be great. Let's wait. Let's give ourselves a little bit more time for that.
But can we guarantee to the public that as soon as these funds, because you're
Become
right, they-
available.
as soon as they're available, whether it's first or second quarter, they will be put back penny per penny in the way that we're taking it out of ARPA?
Similar to what we did with the Measure H,
Similar to the
$2,000.
que también nos
Yes.
prestamos y tuvimos que pagar.
We can try to do it in this fiscal year. I don't want to make false promises.
I know.
I don't like to make false promises. I want to wait because we have other issues as well
I understand.
that we need to address. But I will certainly try to do our best.
There's a concern that some departments are going over
Yes.
budget in this particular quarter.
Yes.
You have some concerning financial indicators there.
Okay.
I understand.
Thank you.
Garcia?
No, just, I think that another reason why this item was sent back is it was due to the insurance. So all of that was settled, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's my question.
Anybody else? No?
I mean, I can make a motion to approve as long as knowing that there's a recommendation that that money has to be put back into the ARPA funds.
Okay, so before we make a motion to approve or disapprove, we have two speakers on this particular item. The first one is Mr. Kim.
Okay, first of all, I'm glad these items, I'm glad to see our city focusing more safety on the citizens. And I was brought up several times to the council, and during the council, when I was council, city of Calexico, they receiving more than $1 million confiscate money, so we can use that for our safety, materials. Lots of we can save the money so we could have more police officers. And now they remove it. They would just put the one person to not to hire, and they remove it from there. So we have actually more than $1 million every year. We're losing it. And that time, some council member politically to motivate it, to support it, to not to send anybody. And at least our interim police chief to focusing on that one, so we can have our officers be there, and then we're gonna have a right to collect the confiscate money, probably more than $1 million. So we can use more, spend money for our safety, for our children, and probably we can hire more police officers. We need improving or increasing our safety level. It's very bad. We should have 50 police officers in the raid San Diego has it. And we don't have it. Even the central, they have over 50 police officers. We have how many? Right now it's 22. It was 18. It's a shame. Please focusing increasing our safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Our next speaker is Daniela Flores.
Hi, good evening, council members and
Good
everyone
evening.
here in the public and on Facebook. My name is Daniela Flores. I am community organizer with the Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition. I see a lot of people here, so for those who don't know, our organization is a volunteer-based group of volunteers and advocates that are interested in improving the quality of life of everyone here in the Imperial County. Our focus is to advocate for health equity, address health disparities, and also issues of environmental justice that we have here in the Valley. So, you know, obviously discussing this priority that was brought forth to this council, I want to make sure that it's in the record that I'm not in favor of this of a narcotics program without being more informed. We have data that's being cited from 2003. As we know, a lot has changed in those years, and so if you are, even putting an itemized budget for the funds that are required for such a program, as a citizen, I would like to know more about the data, the current data, and I would say it would be even helpful if you present the kind of data similar, but from other cities, right? In current day, what's the need? Especially if we're gonna approve more funds, prioritizing further militarization here in our community. We have a very militarized border that takes a lot of millions of dollars to take care of the drug enforcement at the border. So it sounds like the police officers have a lot of other priorities that I've heard in the months that I pay attention to those requests. And so I would just say, focus on applying for grants that give you more staffing, right? If that's the priority that I've heard, to increase officers, that's really where, I don't understand why this is a priority. There are many other priorities, and so I understand if this has to go through, but especially if this PR, like part of PR, to go to schools and again further militarize context in our communities, I would just say there are other priorities, and there are other priorities, and I don't think that the data's there to back that up. If you look at the itemized budget on page 3, they're asking for they're projecting 20,000 for equipment. Let's just make sure that we do a clear assessment of that when, it sounds like the money needs to go to staffing. So, I would just really want to see current data of this need. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the motion was made by Mr. Manzanares with the caveat of as long as ARPA funds used for this program goes back to
Yes, I just want the funds to go back into the general fund.
Okay.
Sorry, the ARPA funds.
Anybody second that?
I'll second. Can I make a
Sure.
quick comment? I absolutely agree with Daniela. I mean, when this came up, and it was evident on the first time Serrano came up, and the same objection came from Manzanares, is what's the scope, what's the purpose, what's the necessity. The only thing that makes this community different from other communities is that there's just so many drugs out there. Like, there's just so many drugs because we're obviously they're deposited here and then distributed to other places in the country. So it's low-hanging fruit for cash to be made. Obviously, and on the record, programs like this have high potential for abuse by government agencies. We have to monitor that. It's our program. The proceeds that come into this, in the same way that we need to itemize and correctly explain expenses, we also need to be very delicate, because this is a very delicate program, as to how the money that is received from asset forfeiture goes to actually improving other people's lives, as opposed to just sending a bunch of people in jail for the purpose of getting that asset forfeiture money and not really solving the problem of narcotics. Obviously, we want to avoid militarization. I think we're starting very reasonable with just a dog. It seems to be focused, but as a council, moving forward with what will be a whole program, we have to be very, very careful and delicate, but of course also supportive to the core mission, and making sure that it's not deviated for the things that we've learned over the last 20 years with drug policy in this nation. And with that, Roberts.
Thank you. Yes? No. Okay, so a motion was Mr. Manzanares, you second Mr. Romo. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Motion carried. Again, our next item is our public hearing. Item number 11, consider adoption of resolution of necessity to acquire by eminent domain a fee interest in the real property located at 216 Rockwood Avenue, Calexico, California, and further identified as Imperial County Assessor's Parcel Number 058-482-001 for the purpose of constructing and operating the Calexico Intermodal Transportation Center project.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a joint project between the City of Calexico and ICTC, Imperial County Transportation Commission. With us this evening, we have Jillian Lavius. She's with the law firm of Nossum, is special counsel to the city on this project here. So I also do know we do have some public comments that have been filed with the city clerk. So we'll do a quick presentation, answer any questions. At that point in time, we'll open the public hearing, allowing the members of the public and obviously any property owners to make any comments, and then we'll come back and deliberate. So.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Mayor Morano, council members, and citizens and residents of Calexico. My name is Jillian Lavis. I'm the outside real estate counsel for the city of Calexico. And I'm here tonight to ask the City of Calexico and the City Council to consider the adoption of 2 resolutions of necessity to acquire certain property needed for the Calexico Intermodal Transportation Center project. While real property negotiations are ongoing with impacted property owners, we're asking the council to consider these resolutions of necessity to move forward with the project. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask that the record reflect that the notice of the hearing was provided as required by law, and that the records and files of the city and the report of the city manager concerning these matters be part of the record. So before discussing the project and the particular properties tonight, I wanted to briefly touch on what eminent domain is and how it is used. So first, eminent domain is a power granted to the government agencies through our state constitution. And this gives them the power to acquire real property upon the payment of just compensation in order to serve a public purpose. Now, it's often used to help develop infrastructure projects that the community needs, such as roads, bridges, transportation projects. So when there's a public necessity and need in the community, the government can use the power of eminent domain to acquire the land necessary to build those improvements and those public infrastructure projects. So resolutions of necessity, which we have 2 on the agenda tonight, are one of the steps in the eminent domain process. So specifically, it is a determination by the City Council that the project at issue is needed in the community and that the properties being subject to the resolution of necessity are also necessary for that project. So now I want to transition to the Calexico Intermodal Transportation Center project and why it is necessary for the city of Calexico. So currently there are 20,000 pedestrians coming across the border every day into the city of Calexico to work, shop, and go to school. So as they cross the border on foot, they are reliant on the public transportation available here in the city. So the Transportation Center project is essentially a transportation hub that would consolidate various local and county buses. It would have Greyhound bus services. It would include various shuttles for shopping, shuttles for farm projects.
To bring it a little closer, there you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
As well as including taxis and various pickup and drop-off services, all into one cohesive center to serve the community. So this project would provide the consolidated transportation for those 20,000 pedestrians, along with residents and citizens of the city of Calexico. It's also anticipated that it would help reduce congestion and traffic in the downtown area by having everything consolidated into one particular area. Particularly with the forthcoming border crossing expansion project, it's anticipated that the need for public transit is only going to increase, and this will help minimize impacts from that separate project. Now, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So the project location, which is outlined in red on the above image, consists of one block between Rockwood Avenue and Heffernan Avenue. Now this parcel is only 0.19 miles from the border crossing, making it very accessible for pedestrians that are crossing the border and need to access public transit. Now this particular site was selected from a range of alternatives that were studied, and it was selected for a variety of reasons. First, its location and direct path to the border were key factors. Second, the size and shape of this parcel as a large rectangular parcel
means that it can accommodate all of the identified uses for the project. In particular, as I said, it combines Greyhound, local transit, taxi, but it also is big enough to accommodate future growth and the needs of transportation in the future. This particular parcel also was selected because it would encourage those pedestrians to travel through the downtown area and potentially shop at local patrons there and support those local merchants. Finally, this particular parcel would replace a currently vacant building, which would help to improve the area safety. So tonight, the two properties that are subjects of resolutions of necessity make up portions of this parcel here in red. Could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So tonight, eminent domain law requires that the city make 4 findings when adopting a resolution of necessity. First, whether the public interest and necessity require the project, whether the project is planned and located in the manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. 3, that the subject properties are necessary for the project. And 4, that an offer has been made to the owner or owners of the property to be acquired. So now I'd like to turn to the next slide, please. And item number 11 on tonight's agenda, the first resolution of necessity. So the first matter under consideration here includes the acquisition of a fee interest in the property located at 216 Rockwood Avenue here in the city. Now this property would specifically be included for the future use of the Transportation Intermodal Center. This is the aerial overview. It's showing that this particular parcel identified in yellow is adjacent to Rockwood Avenue. Members of the council, as described in your agenda reports and in detail in the feasibility studies for this project, we believe that the City Council has ample support to make the necessary findings and to adopt the resolution of necessity. Therefore, the council is being asked to open a public hearing to receive public testimony, 2, to adopt the resolution of necessity by a vote of 2/3 of the council, and 3, to authorize staff to initiate legal proceedings to acquire the property via eminent domain. I'm happy to answer any questions the council might have on the first resolution of necessity.
Anybody? You want to go public comment?
Yeah, if there's no questions from the city council, then it would be appropriate to open the public hearing.
Anybody? Yeah. Is there any public comment?
Mr., if we could just announce the opening of the public hearing for
Okay.
the record.
All right, so we'll go ahead and open it for public comments.
Public hearing.
Mayor?
Okay, so it is 7:50. We'll open for public hearing.
Mayor, I'd like to advise you that Mr. Eduardo Rivera did submit a request via email as a written request to appear to be heard on the Jose Lu as trustee notice of the public hearing for the proposed resolution of necessity.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council
evening.
members, members of the public, and safety officers. Thank you for your service. We have a presentation, much like council's presentation, that we would like to ask permission from the council to show, and more importantly, for the public to see what we feel should be taken into account by the council in this public hearing. So with your permission, we would like to have our Jeannie use the projector so we can show you what we're going to be talking about. So I ask for your permission to do that. Further, I ask for your permission to hand out these flyers which correspond to the presentation that we were going to make for you. The only drawback is that the public won't be able to, I'm sorry. The only drawback is that the public won't be able to see it. If you allow the public to view the position of Mr. Jose Lu, who is present in the front row along with his family, if you allow the presentation, the public can see his position regarding this condemnation of private property by a public agency, the city of Calexico. So I ask for your permission to do so.
We would not recommend, it's not standard protocol, Mayor. Generally, members of the public, property owners have the ability to make their public comments. Additionally, they submit comments, additional comments. Once you allow members of the public to make presentations, then we wouldn't allow any member of the public to also submit presentations, and that's not the standard protocol we use.
This is the landowner, the person that owns the property that's the subject of this public hearing.
Mr. Rivera, Mr. Mayor has to make a call on this one.
Yeah, Mr. Rivera, like our attorney said, if we allow that, then we would set precedent for other organizations or other people, interested part of the public also to present. So that's the advice.
Correct. That's the protocol we use. I mean, people have the ability to make comments. Obviously, any member of the public here can submit comments or make public comments, but it's not standard protocol where we then allow individuals to make their own individual presentations.
And they would not be allowed to present it another day?
You would have to, I mean, this is a public hearing, so whatever, anything for the public hearing, we would need to hear everything during the public hearing this evening. Obviously, they can submit copies of the presentation to the members of the council and to the public as well.
If I'm hearing correctly, this is a great injustice to the community here. They will not be able to see the points that we want to make in opposition to the city of Calexico taking this property from a private citizen. So my hearing is a little bad. So did I get permission or was I refused permission to do a presentation? This is the property owner. This isn't public comments from the audience, from the citizens of Calexico. This is the property owner who's trying to provide you information in order to.
Just let me state for the record that obviously the presentation will be part of the record. Council will be giving the presentation, so any information that is submitted right now will be part of the record. So, and it'll be considered, and you can have
That's
a, you
not
can
the
have a
point.
copy.
The point is.
I'm not trying to argue. I'm just going to make the point for the record.
Hold on, Mr. Rivera. Give me a second. Mr. Rivera, yeah, we're sorry, but
Okay,
so
that's fine.
an advice for a council.
That's fine.
Please
That's not a
understand.
problem.
And you can distribute a copy of it. Any members of the public are welcome to a copy of that PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will be part of the public record, and it'll be introduced as so.
You could speak for 3 minutes.
What's that?
You could speak for 3 minutes on this,
Well,
on public comments. Mr. Luke and also anybody, the member of the public can also.
I understand that, but
Right.
I'm going to need more
Right.
than a few minutes.
Right.
Okay. First of all, my name is Eduardo Rivera, 430 Mary Avenue, Calexico. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Liu and his family in regards to the taking of his property, the proposed taking of this property by the city of Calexico. The action that you're about to take today is premised by a feasibility study that was done 8 years ago, in 2014. The feasibility study that was done in 2014 contains numerous errors in that feasibility study. When the city council back in 2014 adopted the feasibility study and then designated the preferred site as this current site, they made errors in the presumption contained and in the conclusions contained in the feasibility study. Now, the major defect and error in that feasibility study is that on page 57 of the feasibility study, which in your manual is slide 21, it indicates very clearly in the second to the last paragraph, and it's highlighted for you, that no public taking of private property for this project was to take place. That is obviously incorrect, Because today at this hearing, you are thinking about taking private property from Mr. Liu. Yet, the action of the city council back in 2014, the public participation by the public in 2014, those individuals, that city council was told no public taking, no condemnation, no eminent domain. And that's exactly what you're doing here today. And you have not had any presentation to the community or other subsequent councils concerning the no public taking, no eminent domain that was contained in that study. It's not fair that the citizens and the city council weren't given the correct information. Because if they had been given the correct information, they might have taken a different vote. Now, the vote on this particular designation as a preferred site and the adoption of the feasibility study was 3-2. Two of the members of that council are here today, Mr. Kim and Mr. Castro. I had the opportunity to talk to a third council member that was there in 2014, John Moreno. I couldn't find Maritza, and I could find Bill Hodge. Mr. Moreno this afternoon at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon told me that the condemnation of any property in the preferred site was never discussed. When he voted, he never voted to condemn property. More specifically, he was never told that Mr. Liu's property was within the preferred site. Mr. Moreno advised if he had known back then in 2014 that Mr. Liu's property was going to be taken, he would have voted against it. And the only reason I bring this out is because you're being presented with the same feasibility study. You're being presented with findings of fact that incorporate that erroneous information. If you take a look at your resolution and the findings that you're being asked to adopt, it contains a no public taking, no eminent domain whatsoever. That's what you're going to be adopting. If you vote 3-2 in favor or 5-0 in favor, you're going to be adopting a resolution of public necessity, that contains erroneous information. It contains language in that that's identical to what you saw on page 57. There will be no public taking of private property. Not only are you taking private property, you're taking part of an ongoing business. Calexico Market has been on 2nd Street for the past 30, 40 years, according to Mr. Liu, and you're taking his warehouse. That's where he receives the merchandise that goes into his market. It's not fair that you destroy a business that's been in Calexico for 30, 40 years because you want to build this transportation hub. You're giving this land that you're going to take in condemnation to Greyhound, one of the largest transportation companies in the United States.
Okay, Mr. Rivera, I give you 2 minutes and 33 seconds.
It's not fair,
I
Mayor.
appreciate that, Mr. Rivera.
It's not fair. I've got too much to say, and you're not going to allow me to say it.
Mr. Ray, I would give him additional time just to make sure that he has
Okay,
all his
okay.
comments on the record.
How much time, Mr. Rivera, you need?
I would need at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, give me 5 minutes.
What's the hurry? You're taking private property.
Go on, Mr. Rivera. Go ahead.
You are being asked to adopt a resolution of necessity. The necessity is not there. Why is the necessity not there? Because you never informed the public that you're going to take property by eminent domain. Number two, you don't need the property. You are owners of 3 parcels of property in the city of Calexico in fee simple. That this project could go on without any condemnation whatsoever. We know that the city of Calexico, quote unquote, delegated the project to the Transportation Commission. The Transportation Commission hired 4 engineering firms, and they did schematics, plans, designs, and so forth. Not once was it before the city council of the city of Calexico. Not once was it before the citizens of the city of Calexico. No citizens were allowed to comment on this project. Were you taking Mr. Liu's property? You have the visitors parking lot. It's yours. You have the parking in front of the visitors parking lot. It's yours. You have the old swimming pool parking at 3rd and Heber. That's yours. If you want more land, you can buy the old Womack building on 2nd and Heber. That's a huge piece of property. You are projected to spend approximately, according to what your offers indicate, in this public hearing and the next public hearing, approximately $1.5 million in the condemnation just for the property. Well, you have you have property that you own. Why take private property from a business that's been here? He has a family here. He lives here. He pays taxes here. He pays business license here. This is what we all talk about. He's a local business owner. He has suffered 2 peso devaluations. He has suffered the long lines of coming into the city of Calexico because of our international port of entry. He has suffered through COVID. He has suffered through, approximately 20 years ago, the city of Calexico bringing Walmart into the city of Calexico and offering financial incentives to Walmart. Inflation has reduced business for Mr. Liu. He's hanging on, and he's hung on for all these periods of time. And for you to chop off a part of his business where he's going to have to relocate, buy another piece of property, rebuild on the $250,000 that you're going to offer according to your resolution, it's not fair. What did Mr. Liu ever do to the city of Calexico for him to be treated in this fashion? The findings, I'm going to address the findings, I'm going to wrap up. I have a lot more stuff to tell you, but you're placing time limits on a very important item which concerns the taking of property from an individual. Nobody's arguing that a transportation hub isn't important. Nobody's arguing that. What we're arguing is that you don't have to take private property. I'm going to be followed up by a representative for the old Rite Aid, the old Safeway building, which is the major chunk of this project. You could obviously modify this project, exclude Mr. Liu's land, and if you wanted to, if you work out the matter with the other property owner, you could modify this without any problem and still have this project. There's no need to modify. You have property on your own. The visitors parking lot is sufficiently large to handle this particular transportation hub. Now, Mr. Liu believes that this project does not qualify as the best public use because it's had severe private injury. That's what your findings require. There is going to be private injury to Mr. Liu when there is going to be no private injury to the property that you own. The city doesn't need this property. You have property of your own. Therefore, there is no necessity for the city to condemn Mr. Liu's property. And basically, the offer that you've made to Mr. Liu monetarily is defective. It doesn't incorporate the severance cost, the relocation cost, the purchase of another building, the construction of another building, the rental of another building, the transportation cost to supply his merchandise to the downtown location. So, in short, you don't have the requisite evidence before you to approve this project based on the findings that the law requires. You have property. That means that you don't need more property. All of you know the visitors' parking lot is empty. The only people that use it is Border Patrol. It's a huge piece of property. Don't you have imaginative engineers and designers and architects that could make that a beautiful transportation hub? You all know that for the next 4 to 5 years, the ingress and egress from the city of Calexico into Mexico and vice versa is going to be there right next door by the customs building. So I urge you that, number one, you reject this proposed resolution of necessity, that you require a new, amended study. There are now new properties, like right across the street from the Rite Aid building. The old Elks building, that burned down. The old Fiesta restaurant, that burned down. And there's a parking lot next door that goes all the way up to the Legazpi strip mall. This is an old study with erroneous information. The calculations in here, the prices for the purchase of property are completely wrong. You're not going to believe, but this study says that this project would have been operational in 2018. That's what it says in the study. But more importantly, the study misinformed, did not disclose, was not transparent with this community, with Mr. Liu saying that the city was going to use eminent domain. They were going to condemn private property with an ongoing business. Please don't do that. Please, Mr. Liu has not offended the city of Calexico in any way. Deny this resolution, ask that a new study be made, and you will find some interesting information. More importantly, you'll get the input of the public, which is the hallmark of this council, from what I understand, transparency. And what you have here is a complete decision made in darkness without the consent of the public that you serve. It's as simple as that. Please, please deny this resolution. I urge you, for one of you on the council, to make a motion. I wrote it down. Make a motion to deny the proposed resolution of necessity. Then a supplemental motion that you do an amended feasibility study to take into account the reality of what has transpired. How is it fair that in 2014 a decision was made on incorrect information, and now, 8 years later, you're acting on that incorrect information and jeopardizing and hurting a small local businessman who's been here forever? Thank you very much, and best holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Our next speaker on this item is Mr. Kim.
Oh, Mr. Clerk, I forgot one thing to tell you. The erroneous part of the feasibility study is that it's going to provide spaces, and the allocated spaces, for Calexico Transit. Calexico Transit isn't in service anymore. It's been 2 years since they've operated in the city of Calexico. Numero uno, they haven't operated in Calexico for 2.5 years also because of COVID and other economic constraints on those bus systems. That's part of the erroneous information that's contained in this study, and you're acting upon it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim?
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. You made me to remember what happened in that time. And actually, before on council, they were projected for the study with the people. And that time I was against it because we are the city of Calexico. You know what is our priority or first asset of the city of Calexico? People from across the border, they are our clients. They buy from Calexico. Calexico was very wealthy at that time. All the city of Valley, they liked it, they want it. So they start moving to ICTC to have the terminal so they can take our customer away from Calexico to other cities, Central and Broly. That's one of the major portion of the day wants to cross the border. If that project goes to north side of 98 or Colt, then I will support it because county-wide transportation. But with Calexico, we have a special condition. We have customer revenue from the people crossing the border. We are dumb to put easily to people go to from cross the border go to the other city. That's wrong. So that's what I was against it. You know what they did next meeting? They, instead of having all meeting together, they break the part. So all the group, they cannot hear my voice. Then they get the idea that they're going to do that, and they never show they're going to be in eminent domain. Even the picture there, they stay as they stay staying. Now, this is you guys are going to work the eminent domain. As City of Calexico doesn't need that there. And also, Mr. Rivera was a good idea. Just cross the block. They have a big parking lot. You don't have to pick up anybody's real estate properties. And our city has own big parking lot there. Why you have to bother somebody's taking? Because the Reg 8, the project there, Reg 8, the building owned by the Grand Plaza, for me, something fishy. What city of Calexico or what government is supposed to do for the citizens? To protect them. They protect them their property too, not only safety. And governments, instead of protecting them and taking away from them, they probably, my opinions, might be correct, but legally, because legal process doing it, but in my opinions, is illegally taking properties from the citizens. And think about it. You don't have fund for that project yet. And then you want to pick up the property first? It's something fishy. If you really need it for the transportation from Calexico citizens to go to other city, we should go to the north side of 98. That way we don't hurt our major resource of the revenue for the people in Calexico and city of Calexico. Sales tax coding for the providing from there. Have you seen Calexico downtown recently? Where is people? We're crossing, lots of people crossing to Calexico, but they're not here. They're going to El Centro. They're going to the mall. We gave them easily, they pay just $1 for the bus, they can pick up their property, they go to the mall. So our council member, instead of protecting our citizens, They're doing egg work. Council members said, oh, we don't have enough revenue. Why? Because we don't know how to protect our asset. Think about it. So, why do we gonna need it? What is necessary for the Calexico? What Calexico citizens needed there that the building there for the transportation, intermodal systems, whatever. Just to try to make another Grand Plaza over there to eminent domain, take the property from the hard-working peoples and citizens. But there is another way to do it, if necessary. But I don't agree, or I don't suggest it, council to approving those projects to cross the border. It's dumb things for us to doing it. Of course, other cities gonna say, oh, you're gonna have a nice transportation hub. But for who? For the citizens of Calexico? Or for the central citizens? Our council been moving so dumb. That's why Calexico right now like this. We're losing our resource to outside of the Calexicos. They are my neighbor, our neighbor city. Same time, they are our competitors. And you give them all the blank check to them, and you want to pick up somebody's, some citizens' properties to make the nice herb, and you don't have money, and you want to pick up the real estate first, something vicious. Instead of that, I suggested to deny this project, go check the contract with the Grand Plaza, to stop the sending payments of $500,000 to them every year. And they received more than $1 million without proper reason, and they receiving $500,000 every year. So, of course, it's not on this subject, but what I'm saying is how we gonna looking into our cities growing, our citizens benefit. What is necessary to sacrificing our citizens benefit or properties to build that on, and we don't have the money yet. For me, without the fund doing this, something vicious. I hope you guys doesn't communicate with Grand Plaza owners. That way I don't have to think about the different ways. But again, please protect the citizens. I don't see their needs. And again, my opinions is not correct. It's pushing this project because the way they did it, and also doing without the fund ready, is not right. Thank you.
Javier Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council Member, members of the public. My name is Javier Gonzalez. I've been in the ICT board for 2 years. Yesterday, I had the honor that the IID board appointed me again. And since I came to this ICTC, I brought up the issue that why were we buying property when we already had property? Let me tell you about something that you probably saw in the newspaper. I came out in the newspaper that I got censored and they called me a racist. Well, I voted no on an eminent domain. And that was a very important project, the S-Line. The S-Line. And guess what? I was right on both items. There was involvement by a company owned by a communist party of an adverse country. That is true. And second, the project came at a lower price because we denied the eminent domain. Why was IID trying to buy more property when they were replacing the existing line. That's what happened when you get with this thing, developers and real estate, they come in. This is happening the same thing. If we have property in First Street where this can go on, why do we need to buy property? Why do the citizens need to pay more? There's property over there. The same thing happened over there. That project, the S-Line moving forward, we denied it. And it was 4 votes of the 5 members, not 3. You need 4 votes. So myself and Director Hamby voted it down, and it came out cheaper. Why were they trying to buy land when they said they were just replacing it? And this is what happens when greed comes in. Why do we need to buy? Why do us, the citizens that can use that money for something else, have to buy land when you guys have that property? It's an empty property there. And you know what bothers me more? And I'm going to put you on the spot. Councilmember Romo, in Ureña, you went to the ICTC, and I criticize you, not because of your appointment. You said it yourself. ICTC has never kept Calexico informed. We are in the dark. And now you want to vote on it? You did say that, didn't you? Yeah, and now your group. Now you want to vote on it if you were in the dark? Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have 2 written comments.
Okay, no more public comments? You got one more, right? But that's a number 12. Mr. Castro, that's a number 12. We're on number 11 right now.
This item is number 12 or number 11?
11.
We're on 11 right now. You don't wait till 11? You want to wait till 12?
Yes.
Okay.
No, he wants 11.
Oh, you want 11 too?
No. Just 11.
Okay, come on. I'll change it for you. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. I want to thank Mr. Mayor because you let Mr. Rivera speak the minutes in order to explain this issue. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You should, and everybody, the council need to do that because sometimes 3 minutes is not enough. So thank you again. This is the 3rd time that I thank you because I used to be here as a council and I was against that. But you guys need to represent the city and need what you need to do. Thank you. Okay, me as a council back then in 2014, I was against this hub transportation because, first of all, in order to accommodate taxis, Greyhound, Calexico Transit, the other local, I believe, LA Shuttle, and also
ICTC.
no, ICTC.
No?
Well, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. ICTC, no, not ICTC. First Transit, and also I heard in no, not numero uno. Labor buses, very important. I mean, you guys need to think twice about this because the city of Calexico can accommodate all this transportation. So that property is too small. It's too small to make it happen for the hub, for the transit hub. So definitely, I'm against the decision. Why? Because we need a big property. First Street, it's what's it called? It's a tourist parking lot. Is the best. Is one of the best options. That's what I see. So, with my knowledge of transportation, because we used to do work transportation for almost 50 years, we can fit on this property, on the 3rd, I believe it's 3rd in Heffernan, right? definitely it's not going to work for the city of Calexico. And again, you need to think twice to make this decision. You know what? Since I was here as a city council for 8 years, what I noticed, Imperial County, every city, they had hubs for transportation. They have better benefit for transportation. And guess what? Calexico what? What about us? What about our people? What about our seniors? So I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm here to represent right now as a citizen. So you guys, again, need to make sure about today's decision, or either you're gonna work for second reading, but you guys need to make sure. And somebody mentioned, I believe Mr. Rivera mentioned, the government, you guys, need to make sure that don't hurt a local business. You know what? I was a businessman too. And there is so many ways that the city of Calexico hurt the businessmen, the business people. I mean, we need to stop that. You guys need to realize, do that. You guys need to support local business. You guys need to support the citizens of Calexico. That we need a transit hub, yes, we need that. We need that. And I'm supporting that. Because I was an owner of the public transportation. But you guys need to make sure about your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Go ahead.
Mr. Lu was jotted down to comment.
Okay, go on, Mr. Lu. Yes.
Buenas noches,
Buenas
señor
noches.
A todos, buenas noches. Mi nombre es José Lobo, 1088 Santiago Drive. La razón que estoy aquí, no sé si soy afortunado o desgraciado. En el 2004 compré esa propiedad que ahí lo tienen ahí. Son 7 lotes. Había un edificio enfrente y la bodega de 4,000 pies cuadrados. Desgraciadamente, el edificio de enfrente ya era medio viejito. La ciudad de Calexico fue y me dijo, señor Lu, esta propiedad está muy viejo, puede caerse cuando haya un temblor, y si le mata a una persona, te va a fregar a ti y nos va a fregar la ciudad. Quiero que lo tumbes. Y lo tumbé, me costó $100,000 por tumbarlo. El costo de ese edificio en 2004 fue más de $900,000, es lo que me costó. Actualmente estoy pagando todavía, no he terminado de pagar. Son esos lotes que están ahí, me ofrecían $270,000. Si me costó más de $1 millón, ¿cómo voy a vender $270,000? La bodega yo lo necesito. Tengo mi mercado, aunque no lo crea, 40 y tantos años. Y hasta que Dios me llame, y mis hijos van a seguir ahí. Atrás de mi tienda está la bodega, a 10 pasos. Queremos algo de mercancía, caminamos, nos traemos con un hand truck. Llega la mercancía, lo bajamos con el forklift y lo metemos adentro de la bodega. Anteriormente éramos 25 a 30 empleados, ahorita por la crisis, por el coronavirus, lo que sea, tengo 15 empleados. 15 empleados que están conmigo ahí, algunos más de 30 años conmigo trabajando. Esos 15 empleados, la mayoría tienen sus hijos o sus padres que los mantienen por la edad que tienen. vive de la empresa. Pues yo creo que realmente si ustedes me van a quitar eso, mis empleados se van a quedar sin trabajo y yo mis 20 años o 40 y tantos años, ¿para qué trabajé, verdad? Un mercado necesita la bodega para almacenar mercancía. Es igual que un carro que necesita el motor. Un carro sin motor no va a andar. Usted hace una casa, pero no tiene baño, ¿para qué quiere la casa? Es igual, si yo tengo mi mercado, si no tengo la bodega, pues ya no voy a poder ni seguir. Y si no puedo seguir, tengo que cerrarlo. He ido a preguntar cuánto vale por una renta local de ese tamaño. Con Linda Barriento me dice 3 a 5 mil pesos, 3 a 5 mil dólares por mes. Hablé con Rubio y otros constructoras. Le pregunto, una bodega sencilla con foundation y con lámina y todo, ¿cuánto me cuesta el pies cuadrado? 200 a 250 dólares. Me pongo a pensar, tengo la bodega 4,000 pies cuadrados. Si lo vuelvo a hacer, ¿cuánto más salir? Por eso, señores, le pido humildemente que considere mi patrimonio y los empleados que trabajan conmigo también. Si ustedes aprueban esto, va a dar cuenta que me mochan las patas. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Okay.
We have a message from Ms. Christina Wong. Subject is the agenda item number 11. Dear Mayor, Council Member, and City Manager, I read the agenda item on eminent domain for a private property located at 216 Rockwood Avenue. Here are my comments. Do any understand the word eminent domain? You are getting involved in heavy legal issues that can take a lot of time and attorney fees and expenses. Have any of you walked downtown? It is filthy, dangerous, and needs lighting. The old thrifty Rite Aid building belongs to a company in Beverly Hills, and they are using this property in the future for an indoor swap meet. The property on 216 Rockwood belongs to a private owner in Calexico, and they have been in business for many years and have created many jobs and sales tax for the community. Now you are threatening to sue this family. Don't you have any shame? We did some research on your so-called transportation center, and it is obvious that this is a phony project with a lot of lies and deception. Your city is broke, and you want this person's property. If you decide on suing the Calexico family, we will request public records on this project and file a complaint with Caltrans and the State of California Attorney General for misuse of public funds, and we hold the city manager accountable for any fraud and lies involved. Something is fishy in Calexico, and we'll soon find out where the fish is rotting. Your city manager needs to wake up and get in touch with reality. Respectfully, Wong Serrano family, downtown business owners and property owner, Calexico. Second comment from Belinda Alvarado, Calexico resident. This is for items both 11 and 12. Respectfully request that you table agenda items 11 and 12. Calexico Intermodal Transportation Center has been ongoing for several years with no transparency to the community. Even though Calexico has the highest needs in Imperial County, we do not have a transportation center because the city is involved in a real estate project with management that does not have the experience or competence to make this happen. One, the city and the county do not have the funds for this project. The city chose a location with different property owners who do not want to sell the property. The city is wasting taxpayer funds on this project. My question is, does the city have a business plan for this project, identifying sources of funds and site control of the land? Is the city council aware of the consequences of an eminent domain against private property owners? Who is paying for legal bills of the attorney involved? City manager needs to have common sense and not waste taxpayer funds. Yes, the city does need a transportation center, but you need to find a location where you own the land to develop this project. Once again, no transparency to the community and another failed project for the city.
Okay.
Okay, and before we close the public hearing again, this is for item number 11, the resolution necessity for the property at 216 Rockwood Avenue. If there's any other members of the public that would like to comment on the item, this would be the last opportunity to do so. Okay.
No? Okay. One more? Okay.
My name is Mercedes Wheeler, and I have known Mr. Liu for 40 years. I believe at least that long. One of the things that wasn't mentioned, that no one mentioned when they were up here, is that there's only 4 undesignated parking spaces in front of Mr. Liu's property. If you take that area behind his store, that's all he's going to have, because his customers are parking behind his store, and they park and they come in the back door. So if you take that area, he's going to be left with practically no parking. I appreciate the time you have given Mr. Liu and everyone here to speak, but we'd like to have you please consider that you're really taking his livelihood and the livelihood of his children, because some of his children also work at the store. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last call. Anybody else? Oh. That's on 12 or 11? Okay. Gabby, you got her name? Have her name?
Robert Silverstein is on.
Okay, got it.
Okay, can we ask you something about Rockwood? You guys making a decision on Rockwood?
Mr. Ali, this is a public hearing on item number 11. We're not talking about Rockwood. Sorry.
Mr. Silverstein, would you like to speak now?
Gabby, you need a break? You need a small recess? Okay. All right. And Madam Clerk, do you have anybody? Do you have anybody? Just him?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So anybody else, last call?
Can I say something?
On item number, this item? Yes, sir.
This was that plan. Thank you for giving me the time to share a story about Jose Lu, that since I know him since 1994. I used to be a manager and district manager for Pele Shoe Stores. And I would like to share this story because he is a noble man, and I truly appreciate you guys consider this decision because when Pele Shoe Stores closed, we used to be neighbors. His Calexico Market and Pele Shoe Store was on the next building, next to him. And then when the company closed down, I worked for Pele Shoe Stores for 25 years. I went to him and asked him support, training and coaching to open my own business. So he's a very noble man. He provided me all the information, the training, to open my own business. And I opened it on Imperial Avenue, 539 South Imperial. And thanks to him, to his support. I opened my money exchange house, thanks to him, all the training and coaching. So I just wanted to share this story because we are going back to him. He spent his life working so hard at his businesses, and it's his life. He works since 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Even though he's the owner, he's still working in the store. I know that he can afford to pay a manager to run his business, but he's there at least 12 hours. And I just wanted to share this story because it goes back to him. Thank you. Oh, my name is Roberto Neri. I live here since 1984 on 2201 Ames Court. I moved back to Calexico from Orange County, from Anaheim, because my wife is from Mexicali, so we have our family here since 1984. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? No, we'll close this hearing at 8:44. Okay, so, anybody want to speak?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution of necessity.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to ask from Ms. Sally for some of the concerns that were brought up by citizens, if you could please give them the information that they requested. Just a couple of questions. The specifics for why this property is being targeted for this domain. I believe that some people needed answers on that, so.
All right, so one of the first ones I wanted to address is the funding question. The city and ICTC are joint partners in this project. So ICTC will be providing funding assistance for the acquisition, the construction, and the future operation of this facility as well. I know that's a question that's been requested. And then as to this particular alternative, I believe there were 6 alternatives studied. Some of the factors that I talked about earlier, that were considered amongst all of them and why this one was ultimately selected is the location and direct proximity to the point of entry, its size and shape in order to accommodate both the current uses and anticipated the growth that would be needed in transportation. It was also considered because of the accessibility for pedestrians walking through downtown, as well as the fact that those pedestrians could shop at local merchants in the area. And then another factor was that there's a vacant building currently on the property, and by developing this into a transportation hub, it would improve area safety by removing a vacant building. Those are just some of the key factors. They go into much more detail and additional factors in the feasibility study.
I think that's a better question for David.
Good evening, Honorable Council and members of the public. As was highlighted throughout the evening, there was a feasibility study conducted back in 2014, and there were multiple sites analyzed to make a determination as to where the ideal site for this proposed project would fall. Of course, there were, at that point in time, there were multiple levels of effort completed for public outreach. So there were community workshops, stakeholder meetings with the business community, walking tours, rider surveys that were provided to the public. Public hearing was also conducted. in addition to multiple city council meetings where the project was presented, in addition to this, the council actually adopting the findings and the site selection. So after that, the ICTC and the city of Calexico actually pursued moving forward with this project. So anybody that works in a local government type scenario knows that projects take time, and funding acquisition takes time. So, you know, during that entire time, ICTC and the city were working towards developing the project, locating funding for completing multiple phases associated with the project. So, to provide some background pertaining to the site now, the environmental process associated with the site was completed back in 2021, sorry. That was started in early 2020, so it does take time to actually complete the environmental process. In addition, the project design for the site was completed back in December 2021. That consultant project actually started back in 2018. So it was quite a process to go through to actually complete the design for this facility, in addition to the environmental process, of course. Just to go over some of the amenities that are going to come as a result of the project, there is some sidewalk improvements that are going to take place at all four corners of the site, leading up to the border as well.
Mr. Grid,
Yes.
with all due respect, just to focus on what's at hand, which is this particular land.
Yes.
Primero que nada, if I may.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
was your name again? I'm sorry, now it's a legal
Jill.
question. Jillian?
Jillian
Yeah.
Davis.
Can you come up real quick? Just so that the public understands this part, and I'll translate it into Spanish to the best of my ability. What we're voting on right now is a resolution of necessity. A lot of the things that were brought up, especially by Mr. Rivera, are matters that will be taken into court. This debate about, is this actually the necessary site, compensation,
Right.
all of these things are functions that go after what we're gonna do today. What are we doing, what are we voting on? If you could explain to the public, like the process. I heard a lot of the word taking being used, and I don't think that's very accurate to describe the process. If you could explain, and I'll do my best to translate in Spanish.
So what was put up on, I believe, 2 slides prior, or 1 slide prior, is the 4 findings tonight that are part of the resolution of necessity. And they are specifically focused on the public interest and necessity for the project itself, that the project is planned and located in a manner most compatible with the greatest public good and least private injury, and that the subject properties are necessary for the project.
Lo que trata de explicar la señorita es, and please colleagues correct me if I'm wrong on my translation.
Necesidad.
Es una resolución de necesidad. Y sí, específicamente lo que estamos decidiendo hoy, antes de llegar a las cortes, estamos votando sí o no si este sitio es el necesario. Específicamente, que es el que tiene menos daño privado y el máximo beneficio público. Y que obviamente estas parcelas son completamente necesarias para el proyecto. Ya después de esto, muchos de los argumentos que escuché en el public hearing, de que si es necesario, a qué tanta compensación, toda esa mecánica viene después y viene a nivel de la corte.
Sí, yo quiero agregar, cuando hablamos necesidad, transportación es necesidad. Yo sé que hablamos, mucha gente que dice, pues van a agarrar un camión y se van a ir para el centro. Ese no es el punto de esto. Hay una necesidad de transporte. Es la oportunidad que Calexico tiene con estos lotes, como dice el concejal Ureña, creo que todos estamos de acuerdo. Este es el primer paso. Lo demás se va a corte o se litiga, lo que sea, todo lo que tenga los puntos de esos, pero eso nomás es el punto que si hay necesidad pública, y vamos, nuestra responsabilidad de tener para abogar por nuestros ciudadanos. Nosotros, yo fui electo por los ciudadanos de Calexico para un beneficio, para que ellos tengan el beneficio. Yo no tengo nada personal con nadie. Para mí es beneficio para Calexico y creo que es necesario ese proyecto.
Mayor, si me permites agregar algo a lo que están diciendo. Aquí la situación es, sinceramente, tenemos necesidad de un centro de autobuses, ¿cómo se llamaría, Castro? Centro de transportación, ok. Más necesitamos transporte público, que el señor Castro ya no lo ofrece. Yo creo que necesito más transporte, con todo respeto, y también necesito el lugar donde meter el transporte. Pero hace años a mí me tocó estar aquí, en el 2008, y es un los City Council, búsquenlo porque gracias a Dios ya se me olvidaron quiénes estaban, desecharon un proyecto impresionante que presentó el señor Castro para poder poner un lugar para transportación. Y fíjense lo que es la vida. Ese lugar era territorio de la ciudad de Calexico. A nadie afectábamos. ¿Saben cuál era? El de la calle Primera. A nadie íbamos a afectar. Ahí donde está la clínica ortopédica. Yo guardo los planos. A mí me encantó ese proyecto. Venía gente con dinero para poder hacer ese proyecto, pero como siempre aquí, con todo respeto, primero están mis dientes y después mis parientes, y nos mandaron por un tubo. Ahora, y la comisión de ICT, pues ni sus luces, con todo respeto. En aquel tiempo, y todavía, de veras, David, todavía, yo no veo que ustedes hayan apoyado el transporte público aquí, y ni modo, porque yo he platicado con el señor Castro por 20 años, desde su padre que tenía aquí los transportes, y fue una guerra cuando se hizo cargo de los transportes para los seniors. Como siempre, las guerras, las envidias, los City Council, te quiero deshacer y cosas de esas. Entonces, ¿saben qué? Los que perdemos somos los ciudadanos. Yo, en lo personal, no me gusta hacer algo si voy a fregar a una persona, tampoco, sinceramente. Pero también tengo que pensar en el resto de la ciudadanía. Yo sé, señor Lu, que usted tiene muchos años trabajando aquí, lo conozco de muchos años, y sé que no es tanto la cosa que le vamos a quitar como nos demostró usted cómo se hizo de ese terreno. No es tanto eso, porque usted debe de pensar que también la ciudad de Calexico le ha dado mucho beneficio a usted y a su familia. Mas, sin embargo, es muy triste. Cuando yo llegué aquí, yo no sabía de ese proyecto. ¿Saben cuándo me enteré? Hace unos días, ¿verdad, señor Rivera? El señor Rivera me lo dijo, ni siquiera mi ciudad me hizo el comentario. No sabía ni siquiera, me preguntaba yo por qué ese lugar. Entonces, ahí vi por primera vez, ni siquiera Miguel Figueroa, y me encantaría que estuviera aquí porque fue tantas las cosas, Miguel Figueroa, donde quiera que te encuentres, que no nos dijiste y nos escondiste, y lo digo abiertamente. Este es un proyecto que nunca nos los dijo. Si la señora Colio no llega aquí, yo nunca me entero. Entonces, ¿cómo, por Dios, se hace un proyecto económico para poner una estación antes de pensar que no tenemos ni siquiera transporte público aquí? Nos quitaron hasta el dinero que le daban a la gente de Traffic Control. Y sí me molesta, porque también nosotros aportamos para esa comisión. ¿Y saben qué? Aquí Calexico es más importante, con todo respeto, que todo el condado del Valle Imperial, porque aquí es único. Calexico, aquí pasa todo mundo, aquí, nos guste o no nos guste, y va a todas partes del condado del Valle Imperial. Y gracias a que pasa por aquí, toda la gente llega a todo el condado del Valle Imperial. Ah, pero ningún mayor se acuerda de eso. Y quisiera que estuviera aquí el mayor del centro, mi querida amiga, y que estuviera también el de Brole, y que digan, ¿en qué te apoyamos, Calexico? Gracias a ustedes, gracias a que pasan. No, aquí se queda toda la bronca. Y me encantaría que se quedaran como antes, que iban más gente a las tiendas. Me encantaría que eso fuera. Aquí la situación es, ¿qué vamos a hacer ahora? Este es un proyecto que tengo entendido, porque porque eso sí me lo explicaron, que si no lo tomamos se va a perder, ¿sí o no? Ya no va a haber otro proyecto, ya no nos van a dar el dinero, o sea, híjole, ¿saben cómo me siento? Como lo tomas o lo dejas. Y yo aquí tengo 2 años, caray. Ahí estás tú, Morris, tú tienes más tiempo, tú estuviste aquí. ¿Por qué no te lo pusieron a ti y hubieras tomado esa decisión? ¿Verdad? O sea, ¿qué piensas tú también de esto? Tú también fuiste City Council, caray. O sea, tomar una decisión así, mocharle las patas al señor Lu, como dijo, pues no, pues ni a mí, ni que me las mochen a mí, ni a ti, ni a nadie. O sea, aquí la situación es que estamos aquí nuevos, el señor acaba de entrar. Y nosotros aquí 3, pues prácticamente todavía somos nuevos. Y el señor Camilo, pues ya estuvo un poquito más de tiempo aquí, estuvo con el señor Morris también, aquí presente. Pero lo que más me llama la atención es que un asunto como estos se debió de haber discutido más porque habían 6 lugares. ¿Saben qué? Todavía no veo el plano. A mí la ciudad todavía no me enseña los planos, cómo pasó esto, la historia verdadera. No la tengo. Miguel nunca nos las explicó. ¿Ok? Ahora, ya está el proyecto, señores y señoras. Tengo que ver por toda la comunidad. Tenemos que tener un lugar para meter a todo el transporte. Mucha ciudadanía se molesta porque todos los transportes andan para arriba y para abajo. Se molestan más por los homeless que por los transportes. Nos ponemos rabiosos con los homeless. Quisiera que se murieran. No, ay, no saben. En la calle, ¿por qué permiten eso? Sí, es muy difícil. Y son humanos igual que nosotros. Es muy difícil. Tienen más derechos ellos que nosotros todos juntos aquí. Y no los podemos tocar. Podemos tocarlos si les vamos a ofrecer un lugar donde va a estar, o les vamos a ofrecer comida, o nos los vamos a llevar cada uno de nosotros a nuestras casas a ver si se dejan. No, o sea, no criticar. Hasta ahí, hasta eso molesta aquí en Calexico, caray. Se nos olvida que todos somos hermanos, que esas personas están mal de su mente. Ahora bien, todos los empresarios también que están aquí, comprendo perfectamente la situación. Calexico tiene que tener un cambio, señores. Les guste a algunas personas o no les guste. Somos 40,000 habitantes, de los cuales votamos casi la mitad. No me gusta cómo se hacen las cosas, pero lamentablemente, nomás voy a hacer una pregunta a David. Si no pasa esta resolución, ¿ya no tenemos oportunidad de usar ese dinero, David, para otro proyecto o buscar otro lugar? ¿Sí o no? Nomás quiero saber eso.
And I'm going to answer in English.
Okay, in English.
Predominantly my
Please, thank you.
Spanish-speaking language. And apologies to Councilmember Urenia for going on a...
All good.
I just wanted to provide the context of the site selection.
I'll refocus right now.
In terms of moving forward with the project, so there has been a significant investment into this particular site. Of course, we moved forward with the report, we moved forward with the City Council's action, we moved forward with ICTC's action ultimately at the end of the day. So ICTC proceeded with moving forward with conducting studies, design, acquisition services. So at the moment, ICTC has invested quite a bit of dollars. We're at least over $1 million to move forward with this site. So if we pivoted to a different location, that $1 million would be lost. We would have to redesign, we would have to do re-environmental. Essentially the entire process would reset and start all over. And so that, to answer the question, that is the response.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a real quick comment. If we're going to speak in Spanish, or we should, to the best possible, try to at least provide some translation to the best possible.
Okay.
I just had one question. Tenía una pregunta. Or the question I want to refocus to, and the reason I asked Jillian, was this is about necessity, right? So there's a part of this that makes it the best public good and the least injury. Let me just share one observation before I let you answer that in terms of ICTC's perspective.
Sure.
But one thing I was hearing from the public is, and in this presentation that was conflicting, is Mr. Liu does not have enough parking, right? And then your recommendation is to further reduce downtown parking lots. That in itself answers the question why that's not a good idea. We're complaining there's not enough parking in downtown, and then you're asking me to let go and build on the very few lots that we have where we can make parking structures when we can actually alleviate the problem. So you can't have it both ways, right? Either we, preserve our land to fix a very critical parking issue, or are we now saying we don't have a parking issue downtown? Because if so, then we can just stop making more parking, right? It's one or the other. And it's very conflicting to hear both in the same story from a transportation commissioner perspective, that here's one of the biggest complaints downtown, especially with the Rockwood project, was this took away parking. Why should it take away more parking? We shouldn't. That's, in my opinion, why this land is very, very necessary. Unless I want to further hurt downtown business owners and take more of their parking, which I don't think we want to do. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you?
So what makes this site compared to all the other sites, aside from the parking? What makes this site the best site? Is it the biggest one? Is it, what makes it the best public good and the least injury?
Sure. Well, there were multiple facets that were reviewed back when the study was done. So it was proximity to the border, obviously was a key component. The size of the site, the probability of acquisition, the best impact for the city. So there were a number of different scenarios. There were scenarios that ultimately ruled out other locations because of proximity to the border, issues with CBP and GSA, the size of other sites, the availability of other sites. So this site in particular provides the straight point access from the Westport to the location. Its size is ideal for what we're trying to build. It has the potential for all the necessary infrastructure improvements that we need to build the facility.
How much larger is this one compared to the next biggest site, which I think would be First Street?
Well, I don't know exactly. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but at least from some of the ones that were evaluated back then, I couldn't say what the difference is, because they were all different in size. They were all different in shape. Some were the size of let's say a 7. It was like Tetris, if you will. You were looking at multiple different configurations for it.
Mm-hmm. But this is the biggest one.
This is one of the biggest ones, yes. And essentially what this site provides also is the size, right? That's the biggest thing, the size. It provides us the opportunity to service Imperial County Transit services. It's dial-a-ride services, which is for seniors. It provides us the opportunity to service our proposed microtransit service that's going to come online pretty soon. It also has the opportunity to service the farm worker community and potentially the taxi community and potentially the Greyhound community. Now, none of that is
Just very briefly, so I can just wrap up and translate. You said GSA clearance. This site had an advantage.
This site doesn't have GSA clearance, but there were other alternatives that had issues with proximity to the border.
Like First Street, right?
Yes.
Okay. Para traducir, las dos ventajas de este sitio, por perspectiva de la comisión, antes de que traduzca lo que dije inicialmente, es el tamaño, es el más grande, y es el único sitio, a comparación de otros, incluyendo la calle Primera, que no ocupa una extensa aprobación de Customs y Border Patrol por su proximidad a la frontera. Entonces, y aparte, obviamente, lo que mencionó es que ya se le invirtió $1 millón a este proyecto. Ahora, lo que en el ¿cómo se dice? Proceso ambiental, que es bastante caro en California. Ahora, ahí están las facturas, si no me creen, y son públicas. Lo que estaba mencionando inicialmente del estacionamiento, el señor Rivera trajo una sugerencia, o parece que todas las sugerencias aquí son usar otros lotes de estacionamiento. Sí, entonces, cuando cerramos la calle Rockwood, una de las más grandes quejas, la que más hacía llorar sangre, era que quitamos 10 estacionamientos. Ahora, me está diciendo esta presentación que el señor Lu no tiene suficiente estacionamiento. ¿Qué lógica tiene usar los potenciales sitios de una estructura de estacionamiento o más estacionamiento, reducirlas más. O sea que reduciríamos el número de estacionamientos si no usamos este sitio, que aparte está apropiado en tamaño y es uno de los, ¿cómo se dice? Es uno de los sitios grandes que no ocupa esa extensa aprobación de la Border Patrol. Estos son los hechos, esa es la realidad. Entonces es bastante conflictivo decir, no, pues usen el lote de allá, pero luego me van a llorar de que no hay suficiente estacionamiento en downtown. O sea, o es una o es otra. No podemos tener todo y esa es la decisión que vamos a hacer hoy.
Pero ¿por qué fue ese edificio? Mi pregunta, el famoso este edificio.
¿A cuál?
¿Por qué fue este edificio y no otros? O sea,
por el...
no, tengo entendido que uno de los dueños, no sé si el señor Lu o el otro señor,
sí,
que es el del 12,
sí,
había ofrecido trabajar en ese edificio. O sea, todo tiene su porqué desde el principio. Yo quiero saber por qué ese edificio.
¿El de la Ryder?
Claro, o sea, que está muy grandote, que está que el otro, pues claro hay otros, entonces le
no,
quito al del vecino también. O sea, no se trata de eso. ¿Por qué ese edificio?
La respuesta es esta, la que acaba de mencionar. Justamente eso le pregunté, basado en eso.
No, pero no contestó como debe ser.
Es el tamaño, es el más grande y es el único sitio,
No puede ser una cosa, no podemos nosotros agarrar con todo respeto, este edificio está muy grande, este es. Pues yo he visto como 4 iguales, o sea,
sí, pero
no quiero saber por qué ese edificio, no es esta la respuesta. Esto viene desde el 2014 y tengo entendido que el dueño de ese edificio, no a lo mejor él, el otro dueño, estaba metido en ese proyecto. ¿Cómo que no? Eso es lo que tengo yo. A mí nadie me lo ha explicado.
El señor ha querido
introducirse en ese negocio.
Let's just also provide some translation so folks, even that might be visually, can keep contact.
El del 12, el otro, el que tiene su vecino.
Deja respondo la pregunta.
The public hearing is closed at this point in time. The council deliberation.
La audiencia pública, ya no podemos.
We would not open. The public hearing is closed. Council deliberation. And to the extent possible, let's try to provide some context and translation so folks can keep along with the conversation in both English and Spanish.
Just to retranslate what's already been said in English. Son dos estándares legales los que están acá arriba. So can you go back to the words? Okay. Es el sitio que tiene el mayor o máxima potencial de bien público y el mínimo, mínimo heridas o pérdidas privadas y que sea necesario. Entonces sí, o sea, puedes ver a la JCPenney o cualquier otro sitio, pero esos incurren mucho más pérdidas que esta. Esta es la pérdida mínima de todos los sitios. O sea, sí podemos agarrar... Imagínate si diría, vamos a agarrar el Selwick, vamos a agarrar porque es el más cercano. No, por supuesto, porque son multimillonarios. O sea, esta es la pérdida mínima. Es lo que dice la ley. Sí.
Ok, señores, espera. Ya se cerró la audiencia. Ustedes todos tuvieron su oportunidad. Por favor, ¿no? Ya es tarde. Hay trabajadores aquí que trabajan todo el día. Por favor, les agradezco su atención. Déjenos decidir ahora. Tenemos una responsabilidad muy grande nosotros. Entonces ya creo que yo estoy dispuesto a tomar decisión. No sé si el señor García está dispuesto. Yo creo que la señora Romo ya habló.
Translation as well.
In English.
So what I'm trying to say, it's late, it's getting late. We closed the public hearing. All of you have opportunity to speak. We gave you the dais up there. We're moving on. We all have interesting points here. We just get this space out of the way. Okay, so please have patience. We all said our thing. I'm ready to move on. And if somebody else up here, Mr. Manzanares, Mr. Roya Romo, Mr. Garcia, I'm ready. I know there's a motion. There was a motion by you. We haven't been second yet. But, Mr. Garcia, you want to say something?
No, I just want to...
Okay.
Estamos en comentarios.
I'll repeat my motion. I'll repeat my motion for the record.
Okay, so your motion?
I will make a motion to adopt the stated resolution. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Manzanares. Madam Clerk, can you cue a roll call, please?
Mayor Moreno?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pureña?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Manzanares?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 12. Consider adopting a resolution of necessity to acquire by eminent domain a fee interest in the real property located at 237 Heffernan Avenue, Calexico, California, and further identified as Imperial County Assessor's Parcel Number 058-482-002 for the purpose of constructing and operating the Calexico Intermodal Transportation Center project.
Thank you, Mayor. The introduction that was already gone over applies equally to this parcel as well, this resolution. So for brevity, I will not repeat that. So resolution for item number 12, the second matter under consideration involves the acquisition in fee of the property located at 237 Heffernan Avenue here in the city of Calexico. Could you please advance the slide? Thank you. As you can see on the aerial overview here, this is the property in question and the location of it shaded in yellow. So similar to the earlier discussion, Council, as described in your agenda and in detail in the feasibility study and the previous comments we've expressed, we believe the City Council has ample support to make the necessary findings and adopt the resolution of necessity. The Council is being asked to open a public hearing to receive public testimony, adopt the resolution of necessity by a vote of 2/3 of the Council, and authorize staff to initiate legal proceedings to acquire the property by eminent domain.
Thank you. I will open a public hearing. It is 9:15, and we do have one speaker. He's no longer here, Mr. Gabriel González, on this item. Sí, ¿usted puede hablar? ¿Quiere hablar? Pasa. Oh, okay, good.
On December 6th, we received a letter from the Silverstein Law Firm on behalf of System 2 LLP, a request to appear and be heard, and to have city continue hearing on proposed resolution of necessity concerning the real property located at 237 Heffernan Avenue in Calexico, APN 058-482-002. And this is on behalf of Mr. Robert Silverstein.
Okay, is he on? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Unfortunately, I cannot see you, I can only hear you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Robert Silverstein. I'm an attorney with the Silverstein Law Firm in Pasadena. I represent property owner System 2 LP, owner of the property at 237 Heffernan Avenue, whose property is the subject of the proposed resolution of necessity before you tonight. You just heard powerful and helpful testimony from prior City Council members against adoption of the resolutions of necessity before you and against the use of eminent domain. Your prior council members bring unique perspective and history to this matter. We concur with and echo their objections to you approving the resolutions of necessity. I want to make sure that their comments, which apply equally to both item number 11 and item number 12, are included in the record for item number 12 as well. These two items are legally and subject matter the same, and the prior council members' comments and the other comments are really intertwined with this item number 11. Of course, today you are the ones who are on the City Council, and the decision is for you to make. But there is only one proper decision you can make under the law, and that is for you to deny the resolutions of necessity before you tonight. I would like the record to reflect that earlier today we emailed you an 18-page objection letter with 18 exhibits totaling about 500 pages. We sent that to your city clerk, and she was kind enough to confirm its receipt. We also emailed it to your eminent domain counsel, Mr. Kuhn. My letter stated various legal objections to the proposed resolution of necessity. I will not, of course, restate them all now, but we do incorporate them by reference. However, I will briefly restate a few key points here for your consideration. First, the City Council cannot lawfully proceed to approve the resolutions of necessity or begin the eminent domain process because the city's notices, proposed resolution of necessity as to my client's property, and pre-condemnation offers are all legally defective. That is because you have failed to recognize what is called in the law of eminent domain a functionally contiguous parcel that is across the street and is also owned by my client, which has for decades, including during its time as a Rite Aid, been used integrally with the subject property at 237 Heffernan. And that property across the street, which we call the parking parcel, has been used for decades, conjoined with the subject property, and it has been used for parking uses. By leaving out that parking parcel from your summaries of basis of appraisal and offer, the offer that the city made is legally defective. In turn, that makes adoption of the resolution of necessity tonight defective, including under Government Code 7267.2. And that, in turn, renders the power of eminent domain against my client invalid. According to the eminent domain law, the two parcels are considered unified. The two parcels, I mean the subject parcel, that is the subject of your resolution of necessity, but also what we call the parking parcel directly across the street. So your resolution of necessity is defective because it fails to recognize the parking parcel. Second, the city cannot lawfully proceed to approve the resolution of necessity or begin the eminent domain process because effectively the city has already lost its discretion in this matter because of the many engineering, financial, and contractual pre-commitments which the city has already approved prior to tonight, and which, unfortunately, means that your hands really are tied. Of course, that isn't entirely true because you can vote to deny the resolution of necessity tonight, and we hope you will do that. Under a case called Norms Slauson, when an agency like the city has already pre-committed to the taking of property because of things like financing commitments and contractual commitments, then in that situation, the hearing is considered a rubber stamp approval because of those pre-commitments. And the city, as a result, tonight has failed to proceed in the manner required by law. So again, the city council tonight, you should reject the resolution of necessity before you, not only for all of the reasons that the prior city council members stated, but for the legal reasons that I am providing to you now and which have been more fully discussed in the letter that I submitted earlier today. Third, the city cannot lawfully proceed to approve the resolution of necessity or begin the eminent domain process because the taking of the property is not for the greatest public good and the least private injury. And this goes back to both what the prior council members stated and also to the feasibility study that was approved by the city council on October 21, 2014, but recall that it was approved only by a 3-2 vote. That study is more than 8 years old. It is stale, and it cannot support a valid resolution of necessity, but yet your staff report and your staff are relying exactly on that 8-year-old stale feasibility study. And we pulled up or obtained the minutes from that 2014 hearing. That's attached at Exhibit 17 to our letter. And one of those 2 no votes that night 8 years ago from Mayor Pro Tem Kim stated, quote, that he is voting no because it is not the right place for the citizens of Calexico, especially the downtown merchants, close quote. And in addition, as noted by the staff report for this resolution of necessity at page 3, the October 2014, quote, feasibility report states that the project would not impact existing businesses. Rather, the project would replace a vacant building, thereby improving area safety, close quote. However, I need to clarify that statement based upon an old feasibility study, 8 years old, that was barely passed by a 3-2 vote. Our client has for months been processing a swap meet application for the property with your staff, which would involve substantial improvements to the building, creation of dozens of businesses, meaning many swap meet businesses, and numerous jobs. So the assumptions of the outdated feasibility report, which are the basis for your resolution of necessity, do not stand the test of time. My client's pursuit of this swap meet redevelopment is underway, further challenging the exact basis for your staff report, finding that the public good is best served by this because the building is vacant. Well, the building isn't going to be vacant for much longer. And fourth, I will note that Mayor Pro Tem Ureña is also an ICTC commissioner. So this body cannot vote on the resolution of necessity because it would violate the quo warranto law because he sits on both bodies. And it is illegal when voting to approve the resolution of necessity, and that is illegal when voting to approve a resolution of necessity and to authorize the taking of my client's property by eminent domain. To conclude, this is not a run-of-the-mill action before you. Eminent domain implicates constitutional rights and protections guaranteed by both the United States Constitution and the California Constitution. The resolution of necessity before you tonight is illegal. The law requires you to deny it. We urge you to deny it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Gabby.
And again, this is for property at 237 Heffernan Avenue, the resolution of necessity, for any members of the public or anybody listening online.
You do have one? You have one?
Gabby?
Well, we do have one. You want to go this one first? Yeah, do you have one? Do you have a comment? No, it's still him. I needed him. Okay, that's fine. I guess we have Mr. Kim.
Okay, you see, you guys, I will say it's not correct. You guys not making decisions by wisely and legally. So first of all, Mr. Ureña, you're talking about the worry about the parking lot. When they have a project, even the other one, 3rd Street one or 1st Street one, you always can build the parking lot on top of the building. And 1st Street, they have across the street, 1st Street, they have a big parking lot from the city. So parking lot is not the issue for the necessary about the building there. Again, what necessary for the citizens of the Calexico to build the intermodal center there down there? It's negative. Instead of necessary, it's been negatively impacting on the whole downtown business. And also, people who cross the border, they come in. If they don't find it, they go to Las Palmas or some other industry too. But you give them the easy way to go to the other city. When I was council member, and the ICTC, they built the bus line, starting picking the people from the downtown, the border, coastal border, and then go to the high school. So when they go to the high school or the part of the city of Calexico, guess what? They already full of the students from the cross the border. So none of the Calexico students, they cannot have a right. So then at the time I was ICTC, members, what we did, change the route. So they come to the Calexico city first, and the last one they pick up from the border. So at least students of the Calexico, they could have the right for them. So where is your brain to worry about the citizens in Calexico? You are council member for the other city or council members of Calexico citizens? You have to look into the Calexico citizens' interest, but it's not there. You guys always worry about the parking lot. If when necessary, we can build up certain levels, other levels, the parking lot there. Actually, we should do it beside this project. Okay? So why cannot kill the boats in downtown there? Why we have to pick up somebody's property? I really see open the eyes from this lawyer. Say that project, the building warehouse Mr. Luz is unity the business. And again, 2000, I believe 11, before I'm council member, they called the feasibility study, they have a meeting calling the people. At the time, I was against it, the same reason. Guess what they do? They hire the consultant, they blocking the blocks. So all the 4-5 parties, they could not hear me. So they said, oh yeah, this is the best place. At the time, the owner of the Rite Aid buildings, they are very involved with the Grand Plaza. They are very influential at that time. So that time, why we have to pick up our citizens? Why we have to support our downtown business from there? Didn't you see Calexico downtown is pretty lonely? Why? Because the city of Calexico failed to keep them in proper way of the business. The city of Calexico, they didn't clean up. They made the charging $100 every each merchant, but what they done? They don't do nothing. They should keep them clean. They should keep the safety. It's not there. When I had downtown, they pick up I have a shoplifter. When I call the police, they're gone. There's nobody at the downtown in case of any problems. Nobody can stop at the crossing the border. So your job is focusing citizens' benefit of the Calexico. You're not going to save the world. You're not going to save the state. Of course, you're not going to save the county. Your job is to protect and work with the downtown and their futures of the city of Calexico. Please, even whatever you guys are making decisions to approve it, then later on you guys are going to end up with a lawsuit. And I don't believe the ICTC spent $1 billion for the feasibility study. If they spend that, they are the wrong entity. They don't know how to work. They should not spend $1 million. I guess it's broken. But if you spend it, it's worse. Please, do your job as a city council member of Calexico, not the county supervisor, or not the city of Calexico, city of El Centro. You are council member, city of Calexico. Please, focusing Calexico citizens necessary. and the merchants, small business in the cities. Small merchants is out of the support from the city. 2020, when the governors closed down all the stores, you guys sent me 8 personnel to my business, close the stores. 8%. I have witnesses. Okay? And then when you guys and advertising, they say, oh, you can open the stores. None of the guy or none of the paper sent to me, you can open the stores. You guys, how bad do you guys are? You are? You act like an authority only. And you wrongly, my opinion is you're wrongly using your power to hurting the citizens instead of the help of protecting the citizens. Please do your job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Yes.
Just a reminder, we had an item, a comment from Ms. Belinda Alvarado, which she submitted for both items 11 and 12. So this is also.
Okay. Yeah, should we read those? Do you want to read them?
The message was already read under
Oh,
item
okay.
number 11.
Okay, got it.
So we're just entering it also into the record for item number 12.
Got it. Okay. Anybody else, public? Nobody online? Okay, so we'll close the public hearing at 9:33. And we're for discussion. Anybody? Nobody? Mr. Rania? Nobody?
I'll be there.
Okay.
Was a motion made?
Not yet, we're waiting for, anybody to say except you're waiting on you. No?
I'll make.
Okay, so nobody discussion, anything else? I'll need a motion.
Sure. I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution as stated.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Manzanares. Roll call, please.
Mayor Moreno?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pureña?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Manzanares?
Yes.
Motion passes, sir.
Thank you, motion passes. Our last item is an informational item. Local appointments list 2023 in conformance with the MEDIAC California Government Code 54970.
If you could just acknowledge receipt.
Okay, that's all it is. Thank you. And our next item is future agenda items. Anybody?
Again, I request Ms. Colio for, we present a report for the parks for the schedule 2023. 15 parks, no? And retention water. That's it.
Señorita Colio, I'd just really like to request that we, once again, the essential worker checks, if we could at least start a guidelines that we can present next meeting, or have a process, research from other places that have done such a task as the one that the council voted on in March 2022.
I would suggest scheduling a meeting between, so you can just get up to date and get working.
Yes, and I'm definitely 100% to work hands-on on this with you. So.
Okay. No items.
All right, Mr. Garcia.
I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. Probably won't see each other
Thank
until
you. Happy holidays too.
next year. So with that, and then also I just want to ask for not an update, but also if we can check on the newly built New River walkway. I know I went a couple of days ago and I saw that night lights are out already, and it needs some maintenance. So I think that's part of what I've said before, that building projects, but then also we need to build sustainability as to how we're going to maintain it. So if you can just look at that, that would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I don't have anything. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Garcia, second.
Second.
Ureña, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.